Hello, everyone.
Hello.
It is the Spirit Papa and Spirit Madre, fresh from our trip to the netherworlds.
Spirit Madre.
Of Spirit Padre, Spirit Madre, of grandmother Aya. That's actually what people call it, is grandmother, which I'm like, there's some stuff about ayahuasca and I'm like, oh, don't call it that.
Yeah.
The reason we're talking about ayahuasca, first of all, this podcast, it's the week of November 3rd.
November scary.
Yeah, and by the time you hear this, something will have happened.
Something will have happened.
Something with America will have happened. Let's hope it's Joe Biden.
Let's hope.
But if not, Bianca's got her Iranian passport and Neal's
and my
somewhere
Panamanian
down
passport.
the lane. Yeah, you got Panama, you got Iran, I've got Ireland.
Iran.
You forgot
Ireland?
You know, we don't care who wins. We could take or leave. We'll go wherever we need to go. Like John Mulaney said, nothing's going to change. He got a little written up.
Ooh, he
for
got
saying that nothing's
a referral
in a setup. Yeah, he got a referral. He got in a setup on Saturday Night Live. He said like, very little will change, and then how dare you say very little will change? What about immigrants and whatever?
Yeah,
nonsense. Bianca and I did drugs, guys.
We did drugs, you guys.
You may have figured that out
drugs.
based on how we ended the last episode, where we said we have to go do something. And Chris had mentioned on the Daily Show. So me, Bianca, Bijan,
damn,
Chris,
outing motherfuckers.
I mean, Sarah.
I'm calling out
people
names.
Don't know who's who.
Neal's calling out names.
Did ayahuasca in a private ceremony at a house that Chris was renting. That was very nice house. You couldn't tell from the podcast. It just looked like a regular kitchen. Not regular. I mean, it was a regular kitchen, but the
kitchen was mad regular.
On the beach.
Everything
on the
else
beach.
was.
And how should we do this? Should we just talk about what?
Yeah. I think you go into yours, I go into mine, and then we can talk about our takeaway.
Okay. So at 8:00, we started.
Yeah.
We drank the cup. We all drank one at a time.
Mind you, it's like a shot.
It's like in a
double
tea in like a cup. It's not an overwhelming amount. It tasted like Bijan said. It tasted like Guinness that had been left outside in the rain, which I don't disagree with.
Yeah, it didn't taste terrible.
It didn't taste terrible.
People
just
say it tastes
like,
terrible. I'm like, oh, it's fine.
It tasted like
some shit.
Weedy. It tasted like, I don't think I like IPA. You know, where you go, you got to try this, and then you taste it and you go, I don't like this. It's nothing. Right. It's not sweet. It's very bitter, chalky, coarse. Had literally nothing going for it, except for it being the greatest drink that ever existed. Now, we'll get to that in a second. So we're all basically sitting in a living room, sexy lighting.
Super sexy.
I brought down all the dimmers. It was like early episodes of HowNealFeel on video.
Yeah, it was bad.
And there was a candle, and we all kind of sat we pushed the couches off to the side of the room. The guy, the shaman, like set up a little camp. But we're calling him a shaman.
I know, I can't.
He's a white dude.
He's
a white dude.
It's really hard to call a white guy a shaman.
Yeah, he's a white dude from like here. It wasn't. Yeah. He wasn't. Yeah. So he was technically a shaman in that he gave us the drug.
He's like a drug camp counselor. Like it wasn't.
But like a summer camp counselor.
Summer. Yeah.
Like a real goofy. Like, hey guys.
Hey guys. Okay. Bottom side.
Okay. Bottoms up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually would have felt more comfortable if he behaved more white American. I don't know.
He behaved pretty white.
No, he did, but it was a lot of like, I don't know, mumbo jumbo words.
Because once you're in that world, it's all
mumbo jumbo.
Do you have any idea of the things I've called it? I've called it the medicine. I've called it the plant. I mean, the things I've called it.
Because
to call it drugs feels too small, Bianca, and that's who I am now, and that's who you're doing a podcast with.
He's still pointing his finger at me.
Okay, so we all do it one at a time in clockwise, and he does it with us.
Which
okay?
I was confused about.
Which everyone was confused about. One of our friends, we'll call her Paula, was actually like mad at him.
Yeah.
To the point where she didn't enjoy the journey. That's what I call it. Because she was so put off by him. What I've since found out is they always do it.
Oh yeah, no, I looked into it. After my experience, I was like, I feel weird. Yeah. And then I got some context, and they have to do it.
Yeah.
In fact, most of it is them doing it and just making their energy flow to you and you not doing it. That's how it originates.
Really?
Like that's how they do it in the Amazon. You don't do it. They do it, and they have these like kind of chants and rituals they go through to help you. Whereas now the tourism of it, people want to experience it on their own as well.
Yeah, I don't want to watch somebody else do it. It's not that much fun to me. It's like, you want to watch us fuck? No. Do you have anybody?
I might want to watch. Someone
for
fuck.
A little while, not 5 hours.
No.
So we all do it, and we're all just sort of propped up on pillows and couches. We were told to bring our own pillows, which I scoffed at. But I wish long story short, I wish I'd had a pillow.
Really?
Later on when I slept, because I couldn't, I drooled.
You looked so uncomfortable.
We'll get to that.
Oh, sorry.
I drool.
Okay.
And I didn't feel like drooling on the house Chris was renting's couch pillows. It just felt wrong. Call me crazy.
Wait, you drool?
A huge drooler.
You've never that moist mouth.
Yeah, moist mouth
madness. Moist mouth madness.
Yeah. So we do it, and we're all just sort of sitting there. Did music start? He started playing music pretty soon.
No.
We just sat, because I don't think we sat there in silence.
We sat there in silence.
Did we?
For a while.
Now, having said that, Rock's house was, I don't know if he had the waves mic'd, but it was the loudest waves I've ever. It was like they were kidding.
The acoustics, it was like we were being punked.
You're like bah! Every time. Like,
the ground shook, the house shook. Yes. It was such a violent wave situation.
And it wasn't even especially like, oh, hi, the surf's hard or whatever.
It reminded me of when I used to live in Germany, and I lived behind a train station, and the acoustics, for some reason, all the traffic, it just made it seem like the cars were in my house. It just zoom, zoom. It was so loud for some reason in my house.
Tons of places in Chicago like that. Yeah. All along the L. It's crazy. And there's a big joke in Blues Brothers. Go ahead.
Well, anybody who would like crash at my house, and he'd be like, I can't sleep. I'm like, you get used to it. Like it's just something you get numb to. The waves it was laughable.
They were so loud. It was like, and then Rock wanted to leave the door open for COVID, which you're supposed to. Ayahuasca is a hot plant.
It hurt me.
Scenario.
It was hurting.
We were all freezing, but none of us have COVID. So
yeah, there you go.
So, when did you? Well, all right.
About
35 minutes in, I started to feel like, okay, something's happening.
You and Chris started feeling it.
Rock was first.
Yeah, he was first.
And he was, again, he's the one who promoted it. So,
don't talk shit.
He was like moaning. He was moaning, but like maybe he's in pain.
Yeah, it seemed like there was something painful happening.
Him and Shams.
And that actually started scaring
me. And Shams both went to the bathroom, and you went also, and I assumed you were all shitting your pants.
No, that was I just peed. Concern.
Yeah, you just had a regular pee. Rock threw up, Bichon threw up. So 35, 40 minutes in, I'm starting to feel like, okay, something's happening.
What are you experiencing, by the way? Because I want to know if my beginning, obviously I went to a different place, but what did, because you at one point were like, you guys feel this shit?
No, that was later.
Oh, okay.
That was at the beginning. So my experience with like LSD and mushrooms is that it's a funny feeling. It's a fun feeling, and you have 3 or 4 divergence divergent paths per minute, right? Give or take, but 3 or 4 funny ideas or notions or whatever.
Yeah.
Ayahuasca, I was getting like 15 to 20 a minute, and they were so fast.
But they were completely separate experiences.
Yes,
like
it was just like zoom, boom, goom, 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 goom. And it was like, I was laughing at the drug, like, it was like being in a car, like, how the fuck are you doing this?
Right.
Like, I couldn't believe. I was like laughing, just laughing. Now, first, there were, I don't know what you call the thing that I took as my home.
Oh, it was a cubby. But
it wasn't a cubby.
It was like, a cubby.
Right, but a cubby is for like kids to put their backpack.
No, it's, I'd say it was almost like a bay window, but not.
It was, all right, so there was a fireplace, then there was like recessed, I want to say like little coves, but they were, 3 feet deep and 4 feet high, risen up.
You also were not fully fit in it.
And
I was like, is he comfortable?
I fit beautifully.
Oh, you felt good.
Rock said I was like I think you were passed out, but Rock at one point said, or you were hallucinating, but Rock said I was like one of those bikes that you put under your desk because I'm folded.
You felt, okay, because at first your legs were kind of out of it.
Yeah, I did that for you guys. I literally was like, I think I should just put my feet out so they don't think I'm dying.
Okay. Thank you. It's so inconsiderate.
So about an hour and 15, I heard people talking. I think it was you.
No, he said it's about an hour and a half. If you're not feeling anything, maybe you should take a second dose to everybody.
Right.
And I was
I couldn't hear him in my alcove.
And that's when you came out and you're like, you guys feeling this
No,
shit?
please.
You guys fucking seeing this shit?
No, please. I came out and I said to the guy, I was like, can we speak? And he goes, yeah. And I go, you guys, this is the druggiest drug I have ever drugged in my entire life. Now, the funny part was, Bijan noticed, for some reason, I was in a karate stance. As I was saying
you were.
I was in like 1 foot forward. I was like, you guys, I don't know what the fuck's going on. At which point, Rock wakes up and says, then he does like a different druggy thing. He goes, how long have we been here?
Yeah. I was like,
we're just like,
what?
Here. I don't know what you mean by here.
Right.
Then he catches on the fact that you're not feeling it. And he goes, drugs are like vampires. You have to invite them in.
Right. He's
like completely
let the vampire in.
Right. But like totally like not himself. Like drugs are like a little bit
that was not something he would say normally, you think?
No, he would say it, but he would say it with some force. He said it like he was on drugs.
Hey
man. And then he remembered who he was and he goes, of course they might kill you.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, it is him. And then I said something about it killing him, and it was just getting like loud and fun. And the shaman's like, guys, Neal, everyone, I have to remind you to keep your voices down.
Yeah.
Which made me laugh so hard that like me and Chris had disrupted the class entirely. I went back to the cubbyhole. I went back to my cave.
Back. That's when he said I was like, I don't feel it at all. Like nothing. Because Paula was like, I feel something.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, I could like go home and watch TV. Like I didn't feel anything.
And you stand looking back, you stand by that feeling?
At an hour and a half. Yes.
You just were like, I'm normal.
Like, no, like just easy. I don't know. I was like sitting on a couch.
But you were relaxed. You didn't feel hallucinant.
No, I didn't feel even funny or like loose. I just kind of felt like myself, fully connected. And so I told him, I was like, I don't feel anything. And he was like, I gave you a smaller dose than everybody else. So why don't I
Some Agatha Christie shit.
I know. I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, I'll just give you the same as everybody. But when he poured it, it looked like, I was like, this is a lot. Like it looked like
when he poured you the second dose.
It was a lot bigger than the first one.
Interesting.
And I was
than everyone's first one?
Well, I kind of looked at everyone's first one and mine seemed a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
But the second dose seemed just like a double. Like I feel like I had
a double of your first dose or a double of everyone?
mine plus my small dose plus you guys' regular dose.
Okay.
So like 1.75.
Yeah.
And as soon as I took a sip
Pay
of the
attention,
second-
guys. This comes back.
As soon as I took a sip of the second one, it was like out of a movie. I was like, whoa, what's this feeling? Like my like I couldn't really see well.
Yeah.
And kind of everything got a bit small and bigger. And I was just like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, okay. I put it down. I'm like, and I didn't take it all because that scared me. And I was like,
oh,
no.
you didn't? Yeah, okay.
And then I was like, just take it all.
From literally it
it
hitting
hit my
your
tongue.
mouth.
And the second dose. And then I took the rest of it.
You did. Interesting.
Because I said, don't be afraid. He gave it to you.
Yeah.
He knows what's going on. Like, you're surrounded by people you know, and like, you'll be fine. Because it kind of freaked me out how quick it hit me. And then I took the rest and I had to pee again. And that was when I was like, whoa, wait, I can't figure everything out, like spatially. And then when I laid back down, that's when it started for me.
That's when you went.
That's when
it got buck wild.
It just started as like late 90s, early 2000s. I don't know, PC screensaver, like, or the thing that would like, when the music player.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like cheap graphics.
If you go on Ayahuasca, if you go on the Ayahuasca Reddit board, which I've spent most of the last week on, I live there. It is my new cubbyhole. People make art. They make ayahuasca art, which I'm like, yep.
I want to see it. Sorry. Can you bring it up?
Aya, A-Y-A, Ayahuasca art.
Oh, yeah. It looked like bad art
It's geometrical. It's like more complicated weed art, or you can click on one of them. More complicated weed art.
Yeah, really geometrical. It's just like bad art and wine festival art.
Yep, absolutely. But I like the colors though.
It's like when you do the drug and you see it, it's soothing. If I didn't do it, I'd be like, gross.
I also think it's right.
That started. That was the beginning.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I just was cracking
just
me up.
Kaleidoscopic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so basically my trip, 2/3 were fucking amazing and hilarious. And
from the time you felt the fun, you went back on the couch after the second.
From that, so 2/3 of it was amazing. Most of the time I was laughing. I almost didn't want anybody to know what I was doing. Like I was just in this in my cubby hole, like on the couch facing the other way, like experiencing all this shit. And I didn't want to make noise because it was just my private experience. And it was the last hour, I'd say hour and a half of or whatever, last third. That was
Talk about the good part though. Cause I want to hear about, I'll tell the last third what it looked like from the outside in. We all, like the last third, by the way, we all finished around midnight.
I finished at
and you finished
4?
Yeah. Like you were there on the couch hallucinating.
It's just hallucinating.
Like a hallucinator.
Like a full-on hallucinator.
Yeah.
The first was so your voice inside your head, if you think right now, like whatever. That voice was taken over by something else. Something motherly that was talking to me.
Who did she sound like?
No, it was my voice.
It was your voice.
It was using my inner voice, but it was not me.
It was takeover.
It was a Twitter takeover. It was a gentle takeover.
Yeah.
Twitter takeover.
It's running your social.
And it was really nice, and it was this motherly thing, and it felt kind of like it was always there. It was almost just telling me like, I'm always here, making sure like I'm here for this journey with you.
But I'm here now, but I'm always here.
I'm here now. I'm always here. I'm here, constantly there. But I don't know.
I need Thursday afternoons off. The voice in your head said.
So it kind of took me through this journey.
You got to be more specific.
Okay,
and
so
don't be embarrassed because you.
Oh no, I'm not embarrassed at all. So it took me through this journey. It was like going through a 100-room house, and every room was a different experience, and it felt like It felt like the beginning part was really more about me, but more theoretical. So it felt like, I became a slave. And it was kind of scary, but it was okay.
What does that mean?
I don't fully know, but I went back to like slavery in Africa, like tribal shit. Like I was a slave. My takeaway of it, I want to go into what it was.
No one ever say that you're not black enough.
Take note, bitches.
That even in hallucinating, she knows where it is that she shall stand.
So I won't go, the whole thing will get convoluted, but I'll just say my takeaway from that was that not that, hey, you're born a slave, even though you are a person, you're a human being. But
born a proud white man. Go ahead though.
But there was just so many hundreds of years of slavery that at some point it was just embraced, like we're slaves, but we have to stay strong and don't forget that this happened to us. That was kind of my takeaway. So this voice and these experiences and these hallucinations were just telling me that throughout life, you get numb to this, you get farther away. And what replaces success now is being really rich and having a lot of money. This is going to sound really hippy-dippy, guys, but this is just what I was experiencing. Having money is our goal. Having a big house, having wealth is our goal, but really the goal to true happiness is circling back to
slavery.
No,
bring it back.
Circling back to your ancestors and your traditions, and not forgetting. And especially in Western society, I guess that was my takeaway. We get so numb to that. And you get so numb to so much suffering. And we have cars and we have cell phones and we listen to music, but it really numbs you from so much awful shit that has happened to people who came before you to bring you to this point. And it just kept saying, like, no matter what, no matter how scary things get, no matter what, just remember, you were a slave. You were a slave. And then I started writing slave on the pillows. I'm like, slave. I was a slave. And I was like, it was so overwhelming.
You may have yelled that. Is it possible that you yelled that?
I may have yelled slave, not I was a slave, but I was like, slave. And actually so that kind of happened. It was a lot of existential, like, don't become so lost from who you are, essentially.
A slave.
Yeah, okay. So then the second one gets closer to me, and it was just showing me, like, things you need to work on. It was all of my insecurities, my actual insecurities outside of myself. And
explain that, because I don't, as someone who did the ceremony, I can't imagine that.
You guys were talking, and when I tell you it was
we were done.
I know. Who cares? I'm just saying, when you guys were talking, it was fucking me up. It fucked my head up because sound was so distorted. Yeah. So it was really like, look at her, 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 look at her. Oh, look at her. She's and I was just like, okay, I know this is not real, and that's okay. And so the voice was like, you're going to go through this next part. It's going to be scary. I'm going to be here, but you just have to go through it. And that was the scary part. That's when it was just like every insecurity was like surrounding me. I'm like, I'm scared.
But when you say it's outside of you, give me an example. Give me a real example or a hypothetical.
Everything you guys were saying was about me, and it distorted your conversation that clearly had nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. About all of my...
We're talking about slaves, but go ahead.
Okay. All of my insecurities. I like hallucinated with them. I saw like visions of worst case scenarios. And I couldn't.
Your fears or where that an insecurity would lead?
No, all of the anxiety attached with an insecurity, all of the worst case scenarios that your anxiety tells you is going to happen. Yeah. And it was just so fucking overwhelming, and I didn't know how to process it. It was so scary. And I remember saying, like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm scared. I don't want to. And then I heard a thing basically like, look, you're gonna have this. These are insecurities, anxiety, stress. You can't ever be separated from that. But what you can do is understand it. Understand that it's trying to make you feel hopeless, helpless, blah, blah, blah. So just take it. Just let it flow through you. And eventually, like, these things are designed to trap you and keep you in that headspace so they can relive and like zap you and take you right back to whatever's like tormenting you, whatever thoughts or whatever's. And it was just saying, let it pass through you. Don't keep it, because when you keep it, it suck. But so
by keep it, they mean like fight it, like give it oxygen?
no, meaning like, let's say just outside of ayahuasca, insecurities, you really keep your insecurities. You keep your anxieties. You keep these things, you know, they are in you. You have people have anxieties about certain things, about certain physical things, emotional things, relationship things, you know, and they get stuck in cycles of anxiety and insecurities and stress. And it, you know, they take like pills to kind of just.
No, you bitch.
So it was just saying, let it flow through you. Don't keep them. And I don't know how to explain it, but I did that. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna let it flow through me. And it was so fucking uncomfortable. And it was awful. And it just like the worst feelings I've ever felt in my life about myself and about the world and about my future and about my past. And every fear I fucking have flowed through me for 2 fucking hours, I think. Like,
can you give me?
It hurt.
Just give me an example, even if it's a fake
one. No, like I think after my dad died, I have real like trauma of death, of loving people and them dying. Like it's really uncomfortable for me to even talk about. And it just replayed all these like worst case scenarios, all these people dying, all these people I love dying. And the feeling really, it invoked those.
I'm vegan, I'll never die.
Dr. Sebi.
Sweetie, don't you understand?
All the visions and the hallucinations invoked all those, let's say with that one thing, it just turned it on full blast. And it was just, I was like, no, I don't want to think about this. I don't want to think about that. And it was just like, let it flow. And that's just one I'm talking about. I'm talking about every insecurity I have, every fear I have of my life, every issue I have, every problem was. And it used you guys' conversations to be like, yeah, they're gonna die. It was scary. It was like a bad carnival, you know, when people are like, I'm in a funhouse mirror.
Yeah.
And it flowed through me, Neal. And it was like, you know, when you have the flu or you're really, really sick with something viral, and you have like 1 or 2 nights of just like tossing, turning, body aches, and your body's just like fighting it. Like that's how it felt. And that shit flowed through me for so long. And the part that related to me flowed through me. But then I just like, you remember Quantum Leap?
Yeah.
I quantum leaped into awful experiences that aren't really mine. Like I literally quantum leaped into all of us.
Did you quantum leap into the one where he has Down syndrome?
No.
You know the one where he closes the mirror and he's got Down syndrome?
No, I didn't do that. But I quantum leaped into.
Well, Will's gonna cut to it in the video.
Okay,
so I don't know what to tell you.
I quantum leaped into us, and also you all were part of my experience. Like it just kept distorting what you guys were saying into what was happening. So it quantum leaped into being suicidal, and all of us were
Bet
suicidal.
you'd like one of those pills now, wouldn't you? Go ahead.
All of us were suicidal. And we were, like the hopelessness I felt, like it was awful.
We were suicidal in the quantum leap, but where did the quantum leap take place?
In the room, you guys were all talking, and we were just talking about how we were going to kill ourselves, and just so supportive. Like, oh, you're going to do it with a gun? Wow, I can't believe. Now I'm gonna actually run my car. In a garage. I don't want it to be messy. Yeah, no, that's good. And mind you, Chris, the camp counselor.
Because I have a Tesla and you can't electrocute yourself. If you want to electrocute yourself, you have to get the Pavlok.
It was
Pavlok 3. And Pavlok 4, they're coming out with Pavlok 3 in like a month. Anyway, you go on Kickstarter. I ordered one last night.
It just took me through all types of suffering, whether it was being suicidal, which I've never been. Just being a drug addict, letting yourself go body wise, like just physical ailments, just never taking care of yourself. I lived like 5 sad lives, and I don't know, it just showed me how to get out of it. And that's why I kept yelling.
Showed you how to get out of that life.
It showed you the
ideology?
what they're not seeing, what they're missing when you're suicidal. This is what they're not seeing. When people have a drug addiction, this is what they're seeing. This is what they're not realizing, or this is what they're not getting. When they have, it was so fucked. And then at one point, this was the scariest. So the guy, this is such a fucking hallucination. But the camp counselor goes, guys, hey, I just need to tell everyone I fucked up and we're actually dead. And you were like, what, dude? And he's like, yeah, I mixed it wrong. I fucked up and we're dead. But this is what I read about this, and this is what being dead feels like. We are just going to be stuck in this room forever. And then Rock was like, you killed Chris Rock?
Which is exactly what he was saying.
You killed Chris Rock.
Yeah.
Okay, dude. And you're like, dude, like, I'm going to have to sue you, dude. That's what you kept saying to him.
That's so funny.
And I was like, we're dead? We're not dead. And he's like, we are. Notice how it's 3 a.m., but the sun hasn't come up yet. This is what it is like when we die, and I shouldn't. And then Paul's like, well, why the fuck did you take it some? You should have. And we just accepted we were dead. And that's when I was like, I have to get us out of this.
So you knew Paula was.
I like picked up on everyone's energies. They just got distorted.
Was like not feeling it.
Yeah.
You didn't know. She didn't say anything.
No, this was just my hallucination. Funny. And then that's when I was like, how are we going to get out? And then I was like, we got to get out of this. We can't be dead. And that's when I started yelling, we love each other.
Yeah, here for the listener. So we're all awake and just talking about relationships, just whatever, talking shit.
I can't believe you guys were speaking.
I will say this. Bijan and Rock were the first ones to come out of it. And Paula was never really in it. And Sarah, who's done it before, said it was pretty mellow. It was a gentle trip for her.
Who took two doses?
You and Bijan.
That was
But Bijan somehow was done in 4 hours. Now, I will say that he also vomited up his ancestors
that
to
was
hear
so
his
frightening.
I didn't hear his throw up,
scary.
But okay. Yeah, he vomited up members of his ancestors, like individual character traits in his family. What? He felt like he vomited it up and purged it from himself. That tendency, which is fucking the best.
That's amazing.
Can you imagine if we could do that every time? You could pick what you were gonna.
Yeah, it's like I'm gonna purge this.
Yeah. I'm always late. Bianca would sit up on her couch and be like, "We all love each other." She kept hitting the last stop.
So I was losing.
And then at one point you threw a bottle.
At Paula.
And it was a hardwood floor. Or it was a granite floor. It would have been a real problem.
I can't believe I have zero recollection of throwing a bottle.
Yeah,
Paula.
It wasn't a good throw. Thankfully you're a woman. So it had no force, but it was like.
Well, the funny thing is, so I kind of looked at it like I started off like slavery, then I was like getting internal. By the time I was like yelling things, I was losing the ability to speak. I couldn't remember things. I looked at my red blanket and I was like, in my head, I'm like, what is it? What is it? But my thoughts weren't, what is it? They were in tongue. They were just thoughts of what is it? But I couldn't say words. And I was literally like, blanket. It's blanket. Yes, it's blanket. It's blanket. And I lost the ability to remember what words means what. Like I tried to say my mom's name. I was saying like Patterson. I was like Patterson. So like,
what's her name?
Antonia.
Okay, I don't know if it was like Patty or something.
No, it just was different sounds, and that was scaring the fuck out of me. I couldn't remember how to speak, but it kind of now my takeaway is that it starts off very external from yourself, and it goes in and in. And I'm like, I met ancestors, my two aunties. Hey, aunties, I don't know who you are, but I love you. And they've always, I don't know. I just feel like.
Did they look like you?
They were dark-skinned women, yeah. But I don't know. It was kind of hard to really see.
Yeah. Everything's kind of candlelit in the flashbacks.
Yeah, everything's weird. I met a lot of weird experiences. I just kept getting deeper and inner to my brain till where I lost the ability to speak. And I kind of feel like that's the rewiring. You really kind of lose yourself. And then I slowly came back outward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really kind of like broke apart layers and layers and layers and layers. I'm skipping past so much.
Yeah.
But basically, at its root of it, I could not tell.
You're skipping past agrarian society.
I lost the ability to...
Invent when you invented the wheel.
Fire. No, I went back. So basically what ended up happening, and which was really terrifying, which was like this, all the terrifying stuff happened in the last few hours. I couldn't discern if the awake world was the real world and the asleep world was when we were asleep, or when we're asleep, we're actually living. And awake is a different reality. And they started merging, and I started remembering dreams for all my life. And I just kept, I've been here. And
You believe that you remembered
I mean, I don't know.
Dreams
They were
that
processing.
seemed like when you had in 2002.
Or when I was 5. I don't know. Just they were such old places, and it started feeling like, is deja vu, or is deja vu us actually being
Day. Go ahead.
This is like La Jetée all over again. 12 monkeys. So I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out where I belonged, and it was weird. And then when I was in the sleep world, I met it doesn't matter. I met people. It was very weird. And then I started coming out of it. And once I came kind of out of it, and I realized, I'm like, okay, the sun came up. We're not dead. That was just the ayahuasca flowing through you, whatever. I felt really uncomfortable.
You were awake when the sun came up?
I never fell asleep.
Jesus, that's 9 hours.
It was awfully exhausting.
9 or 10 hours, yeah.
Of just on it.
Yeah.
I never went to sleep. There was no way I could have.
This episode's sponsored by On It, by the way, Joe Rogan's weightlifting company. Go ahead.
So my takeaway is that I don't have anxiety, stress, insecurities. They don't live in me how they did. They don't live in me. I'm numb to them. Even I'll like, my brain keeps trying to be like, this, tickle your fancy. And it's like,
death. Can I interest you in a little death? Hey, girl.
Slavery. And they're gone, and I can't explain it. And I don't understand it, because I thought being a human being meant that you have these thoughts and you have to work through them and you have to move past them and you have to just be stronger than, giving into silly thoughts like I'm this or I'm that.
Yeah.
And I didn't actually know you could live a life where they don't fully exist. I just thought it's part of being a human. Like, you get sad some days, you get happy.
Yeah.
You feel this, you feel that. And I just don't believe that you ever have to feel those things. At least not in the same capacity. And I don't feel them. And it's weird.
I think it would be very hard to raise somebody to not feel them.
You can't. No, it wasn't. We didn't raise ourselves. We took ayahuasca.
That's yes. To the I want to. Let me like get people up to what happened on my end of it in the cubby.
Okay, we're back to the cubby.
So I laugh from me and Rock yelling and disturbing the class, and then the next 2.5 hours, I start crying from appreciation of the time I spend with people and how valuable time is, and the exchange of just being alive, sharing time with people. And even if it's a minute or like eye contact was like, that's like a fucking tip you give someone. Like and then you look at someone, it's like, just for like, here's a little something.
Right.
And that spending time with people creates like a stew of energy and then you can do stuff with. I mean, that's like why people like being with each other. It's like me and you equals this other thing, and it was literally, I guess, 2.5 hours of that. Straight up crying to the point where I don't know if you probably didn't hear it. My nose was so stuffed up. I was like
blowing it.
The deepest, like, you know, when you have the kind of cold where nothing's getting through, like it's just closed.
Yeah,
I had that.
I heard you blow your nose. You were blowing it, no?
One of them worked. One of my nostrils worked, and then they both closed at one point, and it has nothing to do with the nose surgery I had.
I was going to say
it would have been worse without the nose surgery. But because I was straight crying the whole time. Me, Neal Brennan, flatline hard ass.
Neal Kenneth Brennan.
Neal flatline hard ass Brennan. It was crying in gratitude for the time I spent with people.
Aww.
That was kind of my whole thing. That was kind of...
How many hours would you say you're...
2.5 hours. It was total 4. 1.5 was just taking the baby for a spin and seeing where I could go. And then 2.5 was just a montage, a very, very effective montage of like almost like a Blue Planet type thing.
Cool.
But it was a film about time and sharing time with people and appreciating kind of human beings, like in a way that I never have. And that my intention going into it was like, I want to be kinder, I want to be warmer as a person. The cool thing about ayahuasca is you have the window, like your, of course, was 10 hours. Mine,
I was fucking. Mine worked, let's say, from about 9:30. Till around 5.
Yeah.
It was a shift.
Yeah.
I did a shift of ayahuasca.
Yeah.
And I felt like, when we first woke up, we were okay, but I was fine. As soon as I got home, I was like, I feel like I got hit by a fucking truck.
I didn't feel good because I slept because the door was still open.
The door was awful.
It was so fucking cold. It was probably 53 in the house.
It was hurting my experience. Not hurting my experience, but my experience hurt.
Yeah. The guy said it shouldn't be cold like this.
Oh, okay. I feel like it would have been...
It would have been better, but what are you going to do? COVID.
It's probably why I went to like. So
Chris gets to spend time with his daughters. Chris doesn't get COVID, and we all.
I'm happy about it. I actually put my mask on in the middle of it because I was like, COVID. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. But you know what's funny? I actually saw you in my trip, and you were a skeletal bird. You were a bird.
Sounds like me.
You were a skeletal bird, but you had a brain. And you had feathers and you had some soft spots on you, but the rest of you were spiky bones. And I was just like, come. I put my hand out and you like flew to me. And I tried to pet you. I was like, ow. And it like bled. It made my hand bleed. And I was like, oh.
It's on you.
And then
it's on you, friend.
Then I like touched the breast of your bird breast. And I found the nice spots to touch you. And I was like, and I started crying. I'm like, he's just a bird. It was so funny. But like, it's making me cry because it was so beautiful at the
right. Well, that's the thing that's crazy is coming out of it. So you take whatever. You do LSD or shrooms or cocaine or speed or whatever. And then it ends and it's over.
Right.
This ends.
It ain't over.
It doesn't. It's not over
it's
because
just beginning.
For the last week, it's been 9 days now. I feel it's like someone put a hard drive of warmth and patience in my stomach, so that there's no I was directing last week a bunch, and I wasn't a fucking asshole ever.
Wow.
I wasn't bitchy. I could have been bitch. It was pressure. I wasn't like short with people. There was one time where I was
You're like, you try my ayahuasca now.
Well, there was one time where I was like, guys, I really want to get this shot. If you're not up to it, let me know. Because I didn't know what else to say. I kept trying to
motivate.
Yeah, okay. Well, huh? but it's a game of telephone. So I had more patience for people than I've ever had. And I started referring to it in my mind as Badu juice. Like I was a little bit more Erykah Badu last week.
Oh, bad
Badu
dude. I thought you
juice.
said bad dude.
No,
Badu.
Badu juice. In that I felt the way Erykah looks.
Yeah, like you look like you think
It's
she's
like celestial, and I wasn't like, oh baby.
Yeah,
I wasn't.
no.
There was none of that. It was still my personality, but I wasn't ever an asshole. I don't think. Like probably nicer than I've been consistently in 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
I know. It's
great.
crazy. It fades every day a little bit, which is why I'm doing it again in 2 weeks. Which is why I'm doing a weekend retreat in 2 weeks. I knew in the middle of it, I was like, oh, I'm going to be a zealot for this.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I have no, you had a bad trip and it wasn't bad at all.
Oh no, I didn't have a bad trip.
No, I know but if someone just listened to it and if your conclusion of like, and today I'm insecurity free in the middle of it could have been horrifying.
Oh, it was frightening. But you know what it was when I look at it? So when I left you guys, I was the only one that tripped hardcore, and that scared me. Not the trip, but like in context for you guys being totally fucking normal.
Yeah.
And me hallucinating in comparison at least. And then I started watching a bunch of shit on ayahuasca because when I got home, I was scared. I couldn't sleep I had terrible sleep probably until a few days ago. I kept having the same ayahuasca, like, am I asleep? Am I awake? It's been kind of spooky, honestly.
Yeah.
And uncomfortable.
Well, it's spooky SCN season. Spooky season.
You know what's weird though? You know I like spooky stuff. I fall asleep to Unsolved Mysteries. I can't do it anymore.
Dude, I cannot
watch my spooky.
The hard drive. I had to tell Trayvon to stop texting me stuff, links. Like I tried to watch a Never Broke Again NBA Youngboy video. He's had to change his name because the NBA sued him. And it's a great video. It's like OJ. It's like the OJ beat. It's from Jay-Z and No ID. And I couldn't watch it. It was like too petty and aggressive and malicious. And I was like, Spirit Padre doesn't go over that. But Spirit Padre less interest social media, less. I couldn't watch TV. I was like, I couldn't watch hardly anything on Netflix or Hulu or any.
I can't. I had to ignore. I ignored the experience for for a few days because it scared me, and I thought I just couldn't watch anything spooky, and I love spooky, and I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like, I started thinking, my God, did I ruin am I perma-fried? I don't know why I thought that. Mm-hmm. And then I started watching documentaries on ayahuasca. And in fact, I have had such a cookie cutter experience.
Well, I knew.
which was why didn't you guys have
because we all had, my guess is there's about a dozen different experiences.
But all of them looked. What I mean is, because even Sarah was like, oh, all of them. I was in a room with people convulsing and screaming.
Yeah.
Every other time.
Yeah.
This was the only time she was like, yeah, this was really mellow.
Yeah.
And then I started watching it all, and everyone's experience was so much more like mine, and not mellow. And people were like, yeah, screaming and comatose and whatever. So that made me feel better because I was scared. I didn't.
By the way, your hallucination was so manageable. It was funny. It wasn't. We weren't like, should we call?
No, I knew that. It was more like I couldn't understand how you guys could have a conversation. The camp counselor came up to me and he was like, it was as if I did this. Hey Neal, do you want to do? I was like, back off, dude. I do not know what you're saying. He's like, do you want to do that? I'm like,
yeah,
no. And I covered myself with a blanket, and I'm not going to tell you what. There's a lot of my experience I'm not sharing because I don't feel comfortable sharing on air. But the thoughts were weird. They were weird, and it was uncomfortable to process. So it took me about.
Can you give me an area?
Category? Okay, I can tell you. This was in the last 1/3, which was scary, and
the middle passage, if you will.
Seriously. Oh my God. Every 15 minutes that voice would come in my head and be like, it's supposed to be scary. You're going to get through this, but you just have to do the work. That's all she kept saying. She's like, you have to do the work. It took aim at the fact, it's just these concepts are too weird. Okay, I'll try. It was saying how exploitive men are to women, sexually, and we are so numb to the fact that sex is sacred. Also, I don't believe this beforehand, but sex and bonding with people is actually sacred, and because we've given into men's urges for sex, we are numbed to the fact that we give it away. It's not a big thing, casual sex, when in the reality, again, that's another numbing of us staying connected and really maintaining that happiness of the trifecta of our ancestors, the
Your
earth,
aunts
us.
maybe fuck 5 times a year.
Yeah, and one person forever. Yeah. And then at some point I started seeing that all the guys in the group were trying to fuck all the women. I know it wasn't happening, but I was like, this isn't happening. I know this isn't happening, but it was my hallucination.
Plus, there were 3 men and 2 women. But go ahead.
There were 3 women.
4. You don't count.
Why?
No one was trying to fuck you. We just didn't want to get a bottle thrown at us.
I take offense. My ayahuasca binky takes offense. No, so when the camp counselor came over, I don't know if this happened. Can you tell me if this happened? I know what he said didn't happen.
He fingered you a little bit.
No, I heard him come over. He's like, hey, your tits look really good. Do you want to smoke a cigar? And I was like, no. And
It happened. I don't know how to tell you. It's the most inappropriate thing I've ever said, but it happened.
It was so scary. And I was just like, and then the voice was like, just let it flow. Don't give in to any of this. It wants you to react. Just let it flow. But that was, I mean, just.
Yeah.
It was all too much. So the next day I was like, what the fuck was that? And so I wrote a little bit down every day. I wrote all of it down. But I just tackled a little bit every day. And after a week, I started being able to sleep. And
I like to think that it looks like that art and it's on your wall. You're like,
ew, wow. It's words. I would never. But yeah, no, my takeaway is it's honestly, you can't put a value on being free of, and I don't have anxiety. I don't have hardcore anxiety or insecurities or anything like that. I really am I have a good orientation of life. Yeah. But I'm human and shit, and I can't believe that those
can't. That's what I want to. I hate to be one of those. If everyone did it, but
you're being
it's
one
like,
of them.
Dude.
I hope everyone is interested in this because I would.
If they're not, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know what to tell you. Also, Trump and Biden. Ha ha.
We'll get to them. We'll get to them.
Yeah, it was so remarkable.
Yeah.
And that the thing that people say of it's like 10 years of therapy in a night. I didn't get this much out of therapy. I've been in therapy for like 20 years. I was looking for this. I was looking for a deliverance. Shout out to Chris Rock and high school kids raping each other. I was looking to be delivered from my personality or some sort of, I wouldn't even really have a bitchy impulse this week.
Wow.
It wouldn't even get that far. It couldn't even get
miracle drug.
I know, it wouldn't even get like a bill, like I'm only a bill type thing. It couldn't even get that far. It didn't go to commit. Nothing. I didn't feel entitled to
have a little
give people the benefit of the doubt and assume that if they made a mistake, they weren't fucking me. I understood what was happening And like I said, it was pressure, and so-and-so's leaving, and we got the camera, if we don't get this shot, and that type stuff. And it just didn't, it didn't manifest itself in a way that it like slowed the trigger down.
So what would you call that side of you if you had to quantify it or put a label on it?
Bossy know-it-all.
Like that bossy know-it-all. But is that like anxiety causes you to come out like as bitchy, or what's the source of it?
I think it is
because there's obviously something like
wanting something, thinking I was clear about it, and then people not doing it.
Do you ever think maybe I'm not being clear?
Yeah. I mean, I try to state
normal
it in
life.
other
I
ways.
mean, pre-ayahuasca.
Yeah. And yeah, like I try, but it comes from, I had a thing. I thought I explained it pretty well. Like as I was explaining it, it seemed very clear. I thought I was using very clear language, and something happened. And
so your takeaway would be personal, or they're an idiot, or like they're not. They're an idiot don't respect
because
me.
They don't. They wouldn't. They didn't bother. Like trying. They didn't even try to do it the right way. So
now, let's say it's actually really cool that you did directing, because
I know because
it's like an instant test. Yeah. So now when things aren't clear, because obviously things are never crystal clear on a set. There's too many moving parts. Your thoughts were just like, oh, well, let's figure this out together, buddy. Or what?
Yeah, like I got to the set. I flew Sunday. We did it Friday. I flew Sunday. And the set, it's like a white environment, and the white wasn't glossy enough. And I'd been saying, like, make it vinyl. Make it vinyl, make it vinyl, make it vinyl. So it's shiny like a puffy video, right? And it's just long story short, I say to the guy in charge, like, hey, can we get vinyl? Because I'm seeing it now in person. It's just not glossy enough. It's not going to. And we're in Florida. They couldn't source enough vinyl. And so it was fine. But it wasn't exactly what I wanted. And I asked, and I was like, hey, I texted someone. I'm like, I'm disappointed that it's not shinier. But I didn't.
Usually, okay, pre-ayahuasca.
Yeah.
Like what?
I've been like, dude, this fucking wall is ... And not good.
Post ayahuasca, it was just.
I'm disappointed in the wall, and I hope that we can fix it.
Oh, that's a huge improvement.
Yeah. Yes.
Because really, in the end, I hope you understand that you're not generally always that wrong, but your communication can be funky.
Yeah.
And the fact
funky
that you
like Parliament.
No, funky like old batch of collard greens.
Like I'm wearing crazy shadooby dooby, baby. Those glasses.
No, funky like an old batch of collard greens.
You don't like it? I mean, you don't like it. Yeah, I hear you.
No, I just mean like I'm so wowed by your takeaways that like, oh, if I just like do a few degrees adjustment of how I speak to somebody, like it can just be like a
now
thing.
Bijan asked me today, is like, do you think it's more effective? I don't know. I was
now
talking to somebody,
effectiveness we don't know because
right. I was talking to somebody who said somebody was saying something about sometimes being yelling is helpful, being bitchy's helpful, being snotty's helpful. I'm not gonna take that chance. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be like, now. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know what's helpful.
But I think what's at this point, we can't say what's going to be the most effective for the project, but if it helps you stay in a better mood and a lighter mood and better energy, then that's more effective than some PA not like some PA getting it right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the reverb. I mean, yeah, and also the reverb wasn't bad at all. If I felt something, the mood is like a reverb of a feeling. So I would just have like a feeling, and then it would just like, it wouldn't like, it wouldn't fester, and
What are you doing? In 2 weeks is a retreat. What is that? You do it once?
Twice.
What?
Yeah.
2 doses? You doing binky? Binky style or 2 separate
Friday night,
nights?
Saturday night.
Fuck that. Are you serious?
Yeah.
You know what's weird? So when I was done doing it, I had this overwhelming feeling of like any drug that comes from the earth is not recreational. It's medicine. And when you need clarity, do it. And it kind of told me like, see ya in a while. Like it was like, don't come back.
Mine.
Ayahuasca shop was closed as soon as I left.
At one point, I did have auditory hallucinations.
Really?
Where I heard someone retching.
Retching?
Like,
oh, that was Bijan.
It wasn't Bijan. It was because I looked and everyone was there.
That's scary as
yeah,
fuck.
And it was in the room. So
hell no, that actually scared me.
No, it was scary. And then I looked up and it sounded like it was 300 years old. It was like some shit out of Beloved. Did you see Beloved? It felt like.
Was it like how they made, what is it, like King Tut's vocal? Have you ever seen that? When
he said, by the joke that never works that I try to write in everybody's comments, he sounds exactly like Doc Rivers. King Tut. It was a retching of it sounded like a black guy and he was retching and I looked and Rock was there and Bijan was there. It was scary. It was remarkable, but I wasn't scared by it.
I don't know.
It feels like you're in a chamber of history and emotions and human evolution. So that isn't out of the question that you'd hear a primal scream from 300 years ago. I also think it was sorry. Yeah, like it also was in the same. By the way, the shaman heard it also.
No,
yeah,
sorry, that is scaring me.
And the
shaman heard it.
Yeah.
What'd you say? You're like somebody.
No. Afterward, I was like, did anybody else have a auditory hallucination? And he was like, I did actually. And I was like, and I described, and he's like, yeah, it was like under the way how loud the waves were.
Yeah, they were killing me.
Let's say the wave frequency sonically was like up here. That's where the scream was.
That's scary.
So
they were so loud and not calming.
Yeah, but it was in that. That's like how I could see how my ear did that, if that makes sense. So doing it again and absolute life changer. I hope. I hope
you get like my catatonic
that sounds
state.
Great. Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
I want to know. But the thing is, like when we were in the car and you're like, I do it again. I'm like, hell fucking no. It was so intense for so many hours. That was the problem. Like I was pooped.
Yeah.
My brain was really pooped. And it was so many auditory hallucinations, so much like mental.
Yeah.
And it just was like, it felt like.
And all you got was a complete dissolution of your fears and anxieties.
No, it really felt like a
thanks for nothing, ayahuasca.
Shut up. No, it felt like an emotional boot camp. It just felt like boot camp.
Yeah.
And it was nice and it was really sweet sometimes. And I met people, I think. And then it was really challenging. And I feel like I don't know what I would need to get out of it at this point.
Yeah, I get that. I feel like I have more
to get to work.
Yeah. And the thing that I liked about it also was it didn't diminish my brain function at all. Meaning I rewrote 2 jokes in the thing.
Oh, dope. Wait, in the first hour and a half, I rewrote 2 jokes. That's so
Rock
funny.
rewrote a movie.
Wow.
He's like, yeah, thought of some ideas. He didn't have a big epiphany of any kind. But yeah, I have nothing bad to say about it, and it sounds like some goofy shit, but I trust the drug.
You know what? Whoever is like really interested or just kind of getting into the idea of ayahuasca. The unwell episode is really good. Have you seen it?
Yeah, and also the fact that the only fatality they can link to ayahuasca is a guy who was already psychotic.
Yeah.
Doing it. So it's like, yeah, you can put that on ayahuasca, but as I told somebody yesterday, meth has done more shit today than ayahuasca has done in all anything they can find.
Yeah.
I don't think I just think it's an unbelievable thing.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. I can't believe it.
Yeah. We've been talking about it for an hour.
I know, I'm sorry.
Because
that's how and we could probably go for another hour.
Yeah, no, but we won't. But I want
we will.
Okay, Padre.
Yeah, like it's an amazing thing, and even if I have a more intense ceremony next time. By the way, the guy who I'm doing the ceremony with has done it like 3,000 times.
Dude.
Yeah.
Is he
cogent,
normal?
had a normal conversation with him.
Okay.
That's what's cool about it, is you're not like, hey man, you're not like rock coming out of the drug, where are we?
One thing I did, my only criticism, and I'm sorry, camp counselor dude, but I feel like I needed help at some point when it was scary.
Mm-hmm.
I needed some sort of, especially after now I realize that the shamans help you work through what you're feeling if it's getting overwhelming. And that guy was talking, and I was clearly the only one in full hallucination.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept coming up to me like, Bianca, would you like... I'm like, what the fuck? Get away. I don't know. And everybody was like, he was trying to put you in a room. I'm like, I would have loved to go in the room.
Really?
Yeah, because it was so cold, and you guys...
It was so loud and so cold.
It was
you tried to go outside at one point.
Oh, yeah, and
that
I was
didn't
like...
work. That lasted maybe a minute and a half.
I was like, because I was like, what the fuck? It's freezing.
Yeah.
And then I couldn't discern reality, but I'm like, I wish he would have maybe not said anything, but just led me to the room and just put me in a room, because it was cold, and you guys' conversation just kept being like such crazy auditory hallucinations for me that it was harder to like work through. And I don't know.
I believe that. Now, as Sarah, who's done it before, a lot of times the shamans just like sing or she said spit at her.
Yeah, she said they like.
She also
spit.
said the guy one of her shaman didn't speak English, so
that's fine. I didn't need him to talk to me.
Okay.
Or maybe be like, look at the candle. Like I was like,
something,
I don't know. But maybe, I think I got what I needed to get. So
maybe
whatever.
you needed an attaboy bird.
I needed an attaboy Bings.
Yeah, so
all right, well, Neal, you got to keep us.
It's a great
It's
a great plant, and if you go on the ayahuasca Reddit, there's just good info and good links, and if you're psychotic or bipolar, I think it's a little dodgy, but I quit.
Bipolar, not good.
I quit SSRIs 6 weeks ago, and I'm not going back. Okay. So we'll see. I mean,
Right.
Anyhow,
well,
it's also made me chatty. I forgot to say that. I'm like one of those like, where are you from, Megan? Like on planes, I'm the guy you don't want to sit next to now. It's fading, but it made me laugh as it was happening.
That's funny.
So quickly, the election. I mean,
it's tomorrow. So today it's Monday.
It's Monday,
it's tomorrow.
And by the time people listen to this,
when's it coming out tomorrow? This episode?
Yeah.
Oh, so we won't know.
We'll have exit polls.
We'll have
exit polls, and certain states can release the counts. Like Arizona's already started counting. They can't release the counts until an hour after the polls close.
In LA, 2 million people have already voted.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knew trying to oppress people's vote made them give a fuck?
Yeah. Well, also, that's what I'd say what you want about Trump, but he made people aware of the government.
A lot more aware. Like I couldn't tell you Obama's press secretaries. There was a redheaded guy. I know there was a redheaded guy.
Yeah, Jay Carney.
Yeah, but he looks like a writer for SNL or something. Yeah. I know all of Trump's press secretaries.
Yeah.
I'm into it. Whatever, jazz up the people. But this is just. I mean, if you drive down around LA, everything is boarded up.
Yeah.
Are you gonna lay low? Or are you gonna go out
and
is, rock the vote?
My next ceremony, I have to wear all white.
No,
and I gotta
like
bring a sleeping bag and shit. So me and Bijan were talking about it today. I don't know.
Okay,
maybe, but there's gonna be a fire, unlike stupid rocks. I was talking to Bijan today. I was like, well, we could go to REI or we could wait 2 days and loot it.
Right.
Because where it's going to be. And I drove past it today and they were boarding
Patagonia.
Yeah, Patagonia and REI.
I love that you'll invest in that like hand thing that goes around you, but you're like, do we buy sleeping bags?
Let's wait and loot. Yeah, no, I'll get it. So,
also, by the way, just really quick, thank you for inviting me to the Ayahuasca.
Oh yeah, of course.
That I don't know when I would have gotten around to it, but it was cool that it happened.
Rox sent me an article from the New York Times about ayahuasca. I was like, we got to do this shit. And I was like, first of all, who gets their drug ideas from the New York Times?
I call it the failing New York Times.
How old are you? 55.
Well, he kept it while we were doing it. He kept being like, Neal Brent, what did you get me into? Neal, and you're like, buddy, this was your idea, buddy.
Yeah,
it was so funny.
By the way, buddy, now in the Chase commercial, starring me and Kevin Hart, am I being condescending to him when I call him buddy?
Yeah, you're telling him to stop screaming.
But I'm doing it in an empathetic way.
Yeah. No, but it's still a Neal buddy.
Yeah.
Your buddy is not monolithic. It has tones.
Correct. And then I was like, I'll call somebody who can get it. And he's like, well, let's go to Peru. And I go, cocaine works outside of Colombia. You don't have to like go to the place.
The Andes.
Yeah. So
that's really funny.
Anyhow, I don't know what to make of. I looks like Biden's gonna win.
Numbers wise, but we don't fucking know.
But Trump is Freddy Krueger, Jason, Tom Brady, whatever. I do not.
Tom Brady.
I do not. This shit is not over. I almost think that
it'll go to court.
I just think it's going to be awful, and I think January 20th or thereabouts is going. That's the real day. Is the changeover day, and there are a lot of.
It's not even like. Well, if he wins.
Oh, if he wins,
whatever. If he doesn't, January 20th is. I just feel like people are gonna. It's
like if I were Biden, I wouldn't do an outdoor.
No.
Thing. I just don't bother. Just there's no advantage to it other than the optics. But
there was already the FBI stopped in the same vein of the governor of Michigan.
Yeah.
Also a plot to kill Joe Biden.
Yeah.
It was the same plot. I mean, who knows how great of a
from heart disease. Heart disease has a plot to kill him. There's just no advantage to having a inaugural as we commonly consider it. And it will be sad and terrifying.
Either way.
Yeah, if Trump wins, it's gonna. It will be so remarkably awful what it says about the country. But I think the country's really racist.
Yeah,
that's the thing that's sad about it. It's like it is really racist. But they voted for Obama. Yeah. And then they thought that giving him a chance would be like that Trump had some merit.
Yeah.
Is testament to, or maybe there were people that thought they weren't racist and then were like, no, I tasted black guy as president. We're like, no, I'm racist. Can I send this back? Like there's a lot of possibilities. It's that thing that we were saying. It's like MLK had 75% disapproval rating when he died. There's no I don't think that we live in like a
by white people.
Yeah. No. Well, that's what I mean. That's most people, though.
No, what I'm saying is that a lot of Trump does have support from.
Yeah.
Like Latin people are. A lot of them are favorable.
Black people?
Latin people.
Latin people toward Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, this Latinx culture is very hard to parse, especially from the outside, because I don't know. I know there's church and like pro-life stuff. I know there's immigration, which I think is probably. I always hear people do jokes about how their grandmother came to the country and now they're completely anti-immigration.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And
they don't speak English.
Yeah,
like
but they also don't want
Spanish,
new immigrants coming in. And okay, and then there's also they don't like being lumped with black people.
No, definitely not.
Because they think black people they have bad black stereotypes. And they don't want to be like lazy. They don't want that on them. So it just seems like there's a lot of like white gaze stuff in some ways. But then there's also just like, and then they want lower taxes, but then they want a social safety net. So I don't fucking know. It seems like there's a lot of contradictions and a lot of factions in Latinx City.
No, there's so much. I think that a lot of Trump. Someone was saying, we shouldn't, we have these old sayings of doesn't matter who you vote for, just vote. And now it's like, fuck you if you're voting for Trump.
Yeah.
And some people don't get that. And it's not like we're going to like on site, I'm going to fight you if you voted for Trump, but either you are siding with the racist or you're actively ignoring the fact that he's a fucking racist.
For money.
Which are both for money or whatever.
For lower taxes.
One policy voters.
Yeah.
Whatever your policy is. All of it shows you don't give a fuck about something I care about deeply, So it's just kind of like it's hard to just say, just vote, come out and be part of this democratic process. It's like, no, fucking, this is awful. It's scary. I was driving around downtown earlier and everything is
with your shotgun.
I think Beverly Hills as a city hired armored security to go up and down the streets and make sure like people don't loot them. Like Rodeo, rolling down Rodeo with a shotgun.
All right, Beverly Hills. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. Did you vote?
Yeah, I voted, but I didn't vote last time. Not because I didn't want to. I just was an absentee, and then I had to go to New York. And I didn't know I was going to. If Trump wins, I don't know what I will do, and I don't say that I say that as a guy who will have a passport.
You're also saying that as a guy with money and a house.
Yes, that as well.
I'm just saying.
No,
like,
of course, but I don't.
Yeah,
but that's. I'm not saying it like.
Like I'm gonna leave. Like you're gonna.
I'm
be
not
fine.
saying it. I am saying it like maybe I would go because I don't. It's too much of a bummer to be around.
Well, Ireland just shut down for COVID, so. You
bitch. But I don't want to go to Ireland. I want to go someplace nice, warm. Portugal.
Oh, deal.
Yeah, but I don't want to. Yeah, I don't. It would such a fucking bummer.
Yeah.
Such a bummer.
I totally
they're
don't.
making the decision more of this.
It's just so weird how a few states decide.
Yeah.
It's just like it's not. I was saying earlier, it's not. It's obviously not apartheid, but it's like.
It's minority rule.
It is minority rule.
But
they're not
the
minority.
vote.
They're minority in terms of population, but I don't know.
It's minority in terms of ideology. It's not secular. It's not,
yeah, it's like conservative.
Yeah.
It's like these, what do they call them? Purple states.
Yeah.
But they're, I don't know. I think it's so weird that Pennsylvania
Pennsylvania should decide. Florida should decide. Texas should.
But not.
It's North Dakota, South Dakota,
Iowa.
It's these places that have. It's also they have two. With like the Senate, North Dakota's got like 700,000 people in it, and they have as many senators as California.
What the? Oh, they did have two, right?
Yeah. And they're represent. I mean, it's like shit like that. That's like that's got to change.
But
the problem is we never change anything between we go, we need campaign finance reform. We need, now it'll be court reform. We need DC and Puerto Rico to become states. And then nothing happens.
Yeah. Because
it's like, that's off-season shit. Like, that's our summer house. We don't roof on a fucking beach house. And it would be a real... The American character is always spoken of in hushed, reverent tones. Mm. And it's also rapacious and fucking gross and racist and sexist as you saw in your ayahuasca. And it's as much, it's like, which parts of the American character do we want to express? Yeah. And Trump is an expression of the worst parts of the American character. I don't think they don't exist. I just think that they're like,
right.
Do you want to express them? Why? What's the advantage of it?
The only thing I do like about Trump is that no one can say this is not a racist country anymore. Like it's almost refreshing to be like, yeah, so many of you are fucking racist. Just admit it. Let's start from there. We have to admit we're racist. Yeah. As a country.
What do you think of the bus thing? The hijacking where they tried to run the bike? Yeah.
I think for a long time we were a country that prided itself on law and order and rules. And even though we make all these rules, we have order, and we are still like a number one world power. And when you see this sort of rogue vigilantism, off the grid kind of factions taking over and being courted by the right, or at least Trump, it feels like we are so full of shit.
Yeah.
There are people who admire that, who are like, yeah, fuck him.
Yeah.
Take over his bus.
Yeah.
Kidnap the governor. Or maybe they won't say good job, but they are like,
They endorse it, quiet endorsement.
Right. So it just kind of is slowly taking away a stone from this sort of like statuesque image.
It's like it's the pretending they're not that. And it's like, no, you are. Just say you are. It's just acknowledge it. Because it's a lot of America is fucking gross.
Well, it's like
a lot of our ideology. I was thinking today of the term the settlers.
Murders.
Yeah, they settled it. They went and settled the savage land. It wasn't savage. They had tribes. They'd live in fucking
they were fine.
An area. There were animals. It's not. There wasn't. There was nothing unsettled about it.
Right.
They were settled.
Right.
It was already settled. They weren't. They weren't like the Native Americans were never like, fuck, we're unsettled. What do we get? We got to get on top of this stuff. The river is crazy. There was nothing unsettled about Native Americans.
Well, it's like when COVID first hit and people were using trash bags and reusing stuff, and you realize, we always assign that to Africa or some parts of South America or Central America, that their healthcare is so poor. I was in a hospital in Mexico, and everyone's like, "Oh my God,
are you okay? Yeah,
did you survive?"
Yeah.
Whereas one thing goes wrong here, and we were on that same level, but no one even, we just felt like this is awful. We need to get them some PPE.
Yeah,
we're full of shit.
Yes.
We're a stone's throw away from vigilantism and poverty, and we like to ignore those facts. racism.
When they go, America's the greatest country in the world. At what?
War.
At what?
War.
But no, they're not. They're great at violence, but they don't win. They haven't won a war in almost 100 years.
At dominating a military industry, like those like weapons and stuff like that.
We buy a bunch of shit. We stockpile weapons and occasionally use them on the wrong people, but we are number one in that. But that's the thing. It's like, do you know what we are in healthcare? Do we know what we are in taxation? Do we know what we are in education? Happiness? And like, there's so many indexes that people don't know we're number one. It's just, you're just here.
Right.
We're number one in you being here. That's all we're number one in. We're number one in where you are. We're the number one place you are.
Exactly.
But we're not.
Let's just get real. We're not number one in most things. And the moment you get real with yourself, like America needs to do ayahuasca. We need to just hand it out. How would we distribute ayahuasca to everyone?
You got to put it in the water. There's nothing else.
You
put it in water, and then in the South, you put it in the Bud Light.
Stupid ass.
That way, it'll get to people. It'll get to the right mouths.
It's just, everyone is just, let's just admit, we have to admit, we are so full of shit, and we believe it. I remember when Obama was running against John McCain, and Miss Obama said, wow, I haven't been this proud of my country in a long time. Mm-hmm. And John McCain's wife was like, well, I've always been proud of my country. Mm-hmm. And everyone, that was, of course, it ran on Fox News for a few days.
Voting for his
Biden.
vice president.
Yeah. But how the tables have turned.
Yeah.
But it's just, it's all just an image. It's so image. But even if you think about it, during Obama had behaved in ways that go totally against Democrats' talking points, their bottom lines, what they run on, what he ran on. He acted in certain facets a lot more like a Republican president in terms of like bombing, deportation, blah, blah, blah.
It's a couple things,
A couple things. No, we on the left choose to ignore that, and on the right, they choose to not acknowledge it. So it's really not about what falls in line with what you think is best for your country. It's really identity politics. It's really us versus them. Liberal, thinking liberal, and so when it's that, it's just your team.
I also think that there's going to be the threat of violence. I don't think there's going to be a lot of violence.
I don't think
I'll reiterate it. Like, even that bus thing, they want to let's just scare them a little bit. There are videos every 3 hours now of like, pull over, just all these fucking videos, but they're not. It's the way I was with the shaman, where it's like, oh, dude, I got to sue you now. Yeah, people don't want to kill each other.
No,
they want to scare you.
It's not like we all were like, you killed us.
Yeah.
You were just like, dude. I gotta see. The one thing that kind of broke me out of the trip though was that, and this one, like my auditory hallucination, I knew, I was like, this is actually them talking. He was like, actually, it has been known to cure AIDS and HIV.
Oh,
and Rock were like, HIV.
Yeah, we were like,
AIDS. AIDS.
I was
really?
like, it beat the champ. It beat the champ. Okay.
I just love that you two, even on like one of the world's most powerful drugs, are still so skeptical. It's like, okay, buddy.
Yeah, like,
okay,
AIDS. Guy. Okay. Look, buddy, I'm on the drug. I'm a zealot like anybody else. Don't say shit like that.
That was so funny.
So I don't think there's gonna be violence, but I think it's going to be a lot of like, look who it is, that type shit.
Right.
It's going to be like a lot of confrontations that almost get violent, but I think that people realize that. I think Trump gives people confidence to do the look who it is, but they don't want to kill people. They don't want to do a real lynch mob. Where it gets violent and deadly.
Because there are also, no one wants to really give up their freedom like that.
Yeah, that's the thing, is life on the outside's too sweet.
It's like, you do it.
There was a black guy who made a video today, and a bunch of people linked to it, but he was like, "Oh, you talking about I'm ready for war, motherfucker? You don't. You got 5 guns and 2 boxes of bullets." He was like, "You don't know how to live off the grid. Like, these fucking stop it." That's that joke I do about the ready militia. It's like the reason Afghanistan was able to withstand American military for 10 years is because they
stay ready.
They'll go a cave. Okay.
That's what I mean. It's like, that's like,
cave.
Yeah, we'll live in a cave.
It's fine. It's not that much worse than my house. I mean, honestly, like it's not, they don't have infrastructure. So it's not like, oh, but without a cave, I'm going to be.
People
even
don't
Bin
understand.
Laden
Caves
had like
are
a fucking
shit.
VHS machine.
Yeah.
And he's Bin Laden. He's the king of that shit.
Yo, so this person probably doesn't listen, but there's this one actor I know who's now been in like some stuff, and anyways, he kept doing this press tours and was saying like, yeah, I lived in a cave to prepare. For 2 months, I lived in a cave. And me and my friend were like, I don't think you lived in a cave. And he kept saying it. And then we like found a bunch of interviews where it was so inconsistent. He's such a low-level guy, no one would care.
Right.
And then I was like...
Was it Robert Pattinson preparing to play Batman who lived in a cave? Go ahead.
I slept upside down. And I'm like, this motherfucker didn't live in a cave. Do you think about it? A cave. Who the fuck wants to live in a cave? You have to be mentally... And
you have
Afghani
to
people
be
are
the
like,
hardest motherfucker in the world. But it's the thing I said about Afghanistan. America has the watches. We have the time. And you just go, okay, guys, we should probably rethink this whole thing because these motherfuckers are terrifyingly hard.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about, I mean, their ideas about civilization, women can't be educated. Just, they're fucking, it's the Middle Ages.
Yeah, you go back to the Middle Ages.
Don't fight them. Just let them be. They want to keep Bin Laden. Guys, enjoy Bin Laden.
Why are we talking about? Oh God.
He went to Pakistan. We all know that. Very quickly, Amy Coney Barrett.
Yeah, just.
I don't think people realize how transformative her appointment is.
Yeah.
Mitch McConnell is a hero till he dies. Donald Trump's a hero till he dies.
Oh yeah.
Lindsey Graham's a hero till he dies. It's a unbreakable majority. It's a majority only breakable by death.
I mean, they're just gonna.
They don't care if they lose this.
But they can
cycle.
flood the. They're saying they're gonna flood the courts.
Well, liberals are, but. They're fine. That's going to be problematic. It's a bad system. We've been railing against the system for as long as we've had a podcast, which is going on 10 years.
Beginning of time.
Since Bianca was a slave when we started this one. So yeah, it's so huge. It's almost hard to, it's unfathomably huge. A 6-3 unbreakable majority, and not all of, but a lot of the Republican justices are in their 50s and 60s. So you're looking at an unbreakable majority. It's so dreadful.
Yeah.
It's so dreadful. Which is why I'm going to poison them with ayahuasca. Hello, Neal. Yes? Is this FBI? FBI, hold on one second. FBI question?
Liberal.
Neal, you said you would poison them. Oh, FBI, I'm a joker. Look me up. Kanye was on Rogan. I have
worst episode.
So little interest in Kanye. I have more interest in TikTok dances than I do in Kanye at this point.
It just popped up when I was on Spotify in the morning. I'm like, oh, after I think 8 minutes, I was like, oh, I can't. This is not. It wasn't an interview. It was Rogan. It was Kanye interviewing himself.
Monologuing.
And Rogan being like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Kanye catching himself being like, sorry, I went off on her. It just was, it was uncomfortable.
No, it's, again, mental illness and money. Bad mixture.
You would know.
I'm keeping it short. Europe shutting down.
Yeah, I'm sad.
It's a soft shutdown. Softer than before.
Really?
Yeah, like they're keeping factories. They're keeping certain shit open that they weren't keeping open.
You're right. But apparently, like this week and next week, a lot of other like
Oh,
UK,
England, yeah.
England, Paris,
Yeah.
Spain. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like, where are we gonna, Neal? Where are you gonna go? That's warm.
I'm not going. I'm going to Singapore. I'm going to Thailand and I'm staying for 3 months.
Okay, fine.
The only thing keeping me here is this stupid podcast.
Not Keith. Like, bye,
who?
Keith. You're on your
Who?
own.
No, Keith would rather be with Sarah anyway. Neal got a second nose job.
I thought
And
ayahuasca would
this
change
one-
you.
It was before the nose. It was before ayahuasca, and it was so great. Topical anesthesia. I'm awake. He's taking out cartilage. It's like going to the dentist. I could help him. It was fucking fantastic.
Ew,
it was
that's
so
gross,
great.
dude. For real.
Yeah. No, I know.
Like, what
it
did
is.
you help him do? Like, you'd blow.
I went like, it's still not enough. Take out more. And we go like, okay.
Okay, no, that's cool.
Yeah, it was helpful. I could help him. It wasn't because the last time I got it like 15 years ago, I came out and was immediately like, he didn't take enough out. I could just like, nope. And then the doctor actually goes, never compare the two nostrils. Like, what? How do you think I got here, you fucking maniac?
Never compare the two nostrils.
Yeah. It's a guy named Dr. Sigari, Sigari.
Never compare the two nostrils.
Yeah. Like pointing at me at a 30-year-old man. Like I'd crossed the street, a busy boulevard in town, and he was my uncle. Dr. Sigari in Marina Del Rey, great surgery. Can't recommend highly enough. I get a piece of any surgery. I'm kidding. Tell him hashtag bonus code Neal.
Use the code Neal.
Use code
Yeah.
Neal. Bianca
Neal.
gets the money.
Thank you.
Time
Time, I watched it. Did you watch it?
on Amazon. Did you watch it?
Yeah, Time. Oh. Back watch. Yeah, Time. You know what I liked about it? It wasn't.
We're talking about Time on Amazon Prime.
It wasn't. There's so many documentaries about the justice system and how it really fails, especially Black and brown people. And it was less informative about the system, and it was just so. It's more of like an emotional journey of.
It
like,
was directed by a woman. Not surprising. Incredibly light touch.
Yeah. I love
the
it.
main woman, the
lady,
the subject, is really charismatic.
She's amazing.
Like off the charts charisma. Like run for office, run whatever.
Yeah.
Use that charisma to gain something. She was great. The other thing that was great is they did it. They did the crime. They just
did.
said
That's what I
like
like.
we did it.
Yeah,
we did it. We robbed a credit union.
Right.
I knew it was stupid the minute they got out of the car, and I did time and he did time and mandatory minimum and just all the shit. And they didn't get too caught up in the as you said, not even the criminal justice
bureaucracy
reform
of
and
everything.
like,
yeah.
no, I did a docket and it wasn't that. It was he might get out. You don't even realize. You don't even understand why he might get out.
They
you just
don't tell you
know
a
he
lot
might
about
get
that.
out.
It just was the journey of them from with their kids to adulthood. It just was so the ending montage. Oh my God.
I mean, imagine if you'd done ayahuasca a few days before and you were on an airplane.
Oh my God.
You wanna talk
No. I saw it before
And
I
wearing
did
a
ayahuasca.
mask. Like it fucked up my mask. Fucked up my waterlogged my mask. I almost drowned. I was crying so hard.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's black and white. It's the cutaways. The montages are amazing. Like really great.
The kids are
the
so
kids are
great.
all really attractive and charismatic.
And they're smart.
And smart.
Just go
and
watch it. So good.
And like winning and you winning. And she keeps dropping in Charlie Sheen saying winning throughout the documentary, which I thought was a little tasteless at first, but I get it. Great. Just absolutely watch it. It's hour and 20. It's not long. So, Will, let's go to some emails.
LSTNER. LSTNER.
You got mail.
Oh, that's nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there's 2 Cleopatras.
I did see that.
One of them is Cleopatra was of Greek descent. It's not appropriate to cast Gal Gadot, nor is it necessarily appropriate to cast a black actor, respectfully. That's one. I came to that same
Read the other one.
Cleopatra's Greek in Egypt.
Greek and Macedonian, but
Right,
she was
so-
born in Egypt. Yeah.
So the fact that I was texting with you about somehow black people are like, no, Egypt is us, is like, okay. When did that start? And then there's one. Oh, okay. Bonjour, Neal and Bianca. Big fan, faithful listener. Love you both for the platitudes. I wanted to react to your take on the Cleopatra controversy. I got deep into the story because I found it to be a fascinating condensation of woke culture and its trappings. And Bianca was a good example of, quote, the first wave of reactions to the Gal Gadot news. A white woman shouldn't play Cleopatra. A black woman should. But there were 3 further waves of outrage over the story that you guys missed in your discussion. Second wave was Middle Eastern wokes, particularly Palestinian women, enraged with people like Bianca.
I'm Middle
They
Eastern.
perceived...
Okay.
But you're not Palestinian and you never will be.
Oh, Palestinians, which
they
have
perceived,
no...
whatever. They perceived African American and Latina women positioning themselves to appropriate North African Middle Eastern culture. I agree with that. The third wave was Egyptian wokes enraged with the Palestinian woman. They pointed out that Egypt might be brown today, but less so in Cleopatra's time, which was 600 years before the Arab conquest of Egypt. Especially to Bianca's point that we now demand more accuracy, the real Cleopatra was from a Greek Macedonian bloodline, so she would have been closer to Gal Gadot's complexion than Viola Davis's. Fourth wave, a.k.a. the punchline, was from the Macedonian wokes. You never see them coming. Enraged with the Egyptians for suggesting the idea of something being, quote, Greek-Macedonian and proclaiming this stunning diversity and uniqueness of Macedonian culture vis-a-vis Greek culture. So the guy goes on to say, I love the story. To me, it encapsulates beautifully how woke culture is basically war games. The only winning move is not to play. There will always be someone woker than you to out-woke you. I do some jokes about this. War Games, of course, the movie from 1982 with Matthew Broderick and one heck of a haircut. Maybe because any authentic social justice seed has now been appropriated by a swarm of overeducated, underemployed white people who just use it to their own onanistic, to use it as their own onanistic flag semaphore to broadcast moral superiority and horror cultural capital.
Happening?
I'm speaking
Ayahuasca.
in tongues. Maybe, what do I know? What does Monsieur Brennan, Monsieur, feel, and what does Mademoiselle Sia think of those deepening swirls in the whirlpool of wokeness? It's a tough. This guy's a big word user. I don't think it matters, but full disclosure, I'm an upper middle class, het, cis, white, male, millennial, and then he put in parentheses, jackpot, born in Milan and living in Paris.
Hey, you.
You should be played by a black man when we make this into a movie. Michael B.
It's
Jordan.
long enough to make into a movie.
Oh my goodness.
I think he's getting me confused. I feel like our argument was that it just should be, because we went through all of them. We're like, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? I think we just landed upon African or African descent.
But I don't even agree. The more I thought about it, I was like, North Africa is more Middle Eastern than, I don't hear black people claiming Egypt. I don't hear black people claiming Algeria.
But it's not. But this isn't the world according to black people in America. I mean,
But they're the ones banging the drum, I think.
I don't think it's only them. I think it's just this wokeness.
Yeah, but I think it's mostly American.
But that is
not
mostly.
a lot of people in Tokyo right now worried about.
No, absolutely not. But I'm saying I know a lot of Libyans and North Africans, and when I tell you they consider themselves black and African, maybe not they look black, but they consider themselves African. So if you said you're more Middle Eastern because you're from Tunisia, I don't know. You might have I think they would disagree with you.
But you also would acknowledge that there's a big group of Tunisians that are consider themselves Middle Eastern rather than, or they would just say North African.
I don't know that. I haven't heard that, and I know some Tunisian people because there was like a community in Germany because there's a lot of like Tunisian.
I met a German girl that I need to tell you about after this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've always heard them being very proud to be African and never calling themselves Middle Eastern. So I'm not sure. But do you know people who are doing that? Sorry.
I'm more.
Where did I hear? Where did you get that from?
When I hear black people, only the most militant black people will claim North Africa.
But
do you know what I mean?
So I guess I'm getting confused. We're talking about black Americans claiming what?
That an Egyptian woman should be played by a black African American woman.
I think it's more when you talk about just American cinema. It's so whitewashed that it's like, okay, if you're going to do Cleopatra now, just don't make it so whitewashed. The thing is, though,
but they
I totally
weren't
forgot.
saying don't make it whitewashed. They were saying this needs to be a black woman, which I think is wrong to Egyptians, Greeks, fucking throw anybody else.
But it just starts. It feels like the same old thing where as soon as black people start asking for representation of them, now that's when we want to start representing Egypt accurately,
right.
Where we didn't mind for a long time to misrepresent everything skewed to white. So it's like, well, why not skew it to black? I mean, it's Africa. The thing is, I actually totally forgot Cleopatra wasn't Egyptian. So I think that kind of makes the argument. I think there's only one person to play it,
Nia Vardalos from My Big Fat Greek Wedding. She's
Windex.
She's the only one.
No, when you realize if we're gonna be accurate, I'm just like, let's be accurate. She was Greek and Macedonian, so
that's
kind of null and void.
Yes,
but let's just take that part out of it. Let's just say it's another thing that Aphrodite or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't think there's a problem. Just to keep the argument alive, so we can understand where everyone's coming from. I don't think there's a problem calling for in this acting pool to find. Just casting a black woman as to play an African character, and take out the fact that Cleopatra's not.
But I don't. But that
you get what I'm saying?
Yes, but I think that's dishonest.
But what's the problem with that?
It's dishonest in that you're like, well, white people did it. Why can't we do it? And it's like, but what about Macedonians, Greeks, all these other things that Cleopatra allegedly was?
I'm saying let's pretend Cleopatra was black. Let's say it's Aphrodite, not Cleopatra.
But why?
Because I'm saying that this to me technically doesn't.
If it's Aphrodite was black?
I think so.
I don't know
what we're talking about.
I don't know.
I'm just
but
trying
didn't
to
you say pretend it's Aphrodite and not Cleopatra?
I'm just saying I didn't remember that Cleopatra was not of African descent at all. She was Macedonian and Greek. Mm-hmm. So the argument loses it's kind of null and void.
Well, that's what I was saying. It's like why are black people like, well, that's us?
What I'm saying is most people don't realize that she's not Egyptian. So let's pretend she was Egyptian. Okay. We can just let's take that fact out. Let's just argue the same point before because we weren't saying she was Greek last time. So let's just say she was an Egyptian woman.
Yeah.
Why not in America just have her be, because Egypt is in
I
Africa,
would say,
why not?
Again, I don't know what most people in Egypt consider themselves in terms of, are they North African? Are they African? Are they Middle Eastern?
I don't think anyone considers themselves Middle Eastern. You keep saying Middle Eastern, which is like, it's not even.
Egypt is part of like the Middle East peace process. It borders Israel.
No, I understand. No, I know exactly where it is. I'm just saying culturally, I don't know that like, do North Africans say they're Middle Eastern? I just have never heard that. So you keep bringing that up. I'm just like, did I miss?
No, but I know that the thing I texted you was if there's
it should be played by an Egyptian. Yeah, and I'm
but fine. What I'm saying, the thing I said that would be more fodder for a podcast is let there be a bombing and see how much black people are claiming someone from Egypt.
But that's when I'm like, you're getting everything so convoluted. This is just a make-believe movie. So in the pool of actors...
Right, okay.
No, hold on. So in the pool of actors...
I'm waiting on with a
I know, I'm like, relax. You don't know where we're going.
Get me my sledgehammer.
In the pool of actors, we're either choosing from white or black. And sure, there's...
Well, why is that the pool?
No, just in general, there's more black and white actors than there are Egyptian actors in America. Whatever.
Okay, I don't think that should be. If there's one, then she gets it.
But if she's not
ahead.
good, like we said before, you're betting on what horse are we betting on? You're not going to. What chances are we taking? A studio, the original thing was a studio going to take a chance on someone that isn't Gal Gadot, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
So probably the Egyptian woman might not get it, right? So I'm just saying if we're doing a risk assessment, making Cleopatra and we work for a studio and it's in Egypt and they're darker skin there's light skinned Egyptians, but there's a lot of dark skinned Egyptians. Why not just make it more appropriate looking to like the reflection of the country? Even though there's Gal Gadot's in Egypt.
Okay. Because
you're saying,
that logic, if there is a movie about a bunch of Egyptian terrorists, no one's going to say Michael Jordan, Don Cheadle, Chris Rock, and Cedric the Entertainer should play those terrorists.
No, but you're going to cast somebody that looks... I get what you mean. When you want it to be negative, you want it to look way more accurate. But when we take bigger liberties, when it's like a positive
But why
thing,
are we taking... Yeah, but I just
that's
don't
what you're
understand.
saying, right?
Yeah, I'm saying, well, you're Egypt when it's a beautiful historic woman.
Yeah.
But if it's just a bunch of poor Egyptian, or not even poor, like the 9/11 guys weren't poor. If it's a bunch of terrorists from Egypt, even if they're dark-skinned, you're not going to say Cedric.
Right.
You're not going to say Will Smith. Mail it.
But one thing I've noticed, like being part Iranian, is that they're not accurate at all when they portray Middle Eastern people. They'll be saying, yeah, Persian, and they're speaking Arabic. So, like,
I know.
It's never going to be.
I get it. I just don't. What I'm looking for is if Cleopatra's black,
right,
then so is the other shitty Egyptian parts.
Well, then if those 4 terrorists are what is carrying the movie, then fine. You know what I mean?
Why do they have to carry the movie?
Because the original point was that we're casting Gal Gadot because she's the least risky choice for Cleopatra. So I'm not talking about any Egyptian ever. I'm just saying if we're going to base it around one person, you can take a chance on a darker skinned person than it. So, but you're talking about these throwaway guys like in a fucking Jackie Chan video.
It's a movie where
like,
the 4 terrorists are the main.
I'm the captain now.
First movie.
I'm the captain
ever.
now, and he was Somali, and he was fucking Somali, and that was super accurate.
Yes.
What's the problem? That's great.
That was great.
Yeah, it's great.
And thankfully, he's back driving a cab in Minnesota. So that's been great for his career. That is accurate. What I'm saying is,
and it worked, and
Jake Gyllenhaal is and always will be the real Prince of Persia.
Goodbye.
Next question.
Email.
You got mail.
This is a good one. Hi, hello, Neal and Banks. How are you? I am fine. I have questions about intercourse. My husband and I have been together since we were teenagers, and we've been married for 11 years, 24 years together total. We didn't plan for that to happen. It just worked out that way. We are still very attracted to each other and have sex regularly, 3 to 4 times per week on average. Fucking fantastic.
Great.
Fantastic. Since the pandemic, my husband has become less busy and I've become more busy. I was asked to take on an additional role at work, home with a young child whose preschool was canceled due to COVID. I also work out vigorously every day to stay sane. At the end of the day, I'm exhausted. My husband isn't as busy or active. He mentioned he would prefer to have sex every night. Many nights I'm very tired, but we have sex anyway, and I'm just not terribly active. I'm just not a very terribly active participant. He complains that I just lie there. My question is, does the quality matter when the quantity is there? If you're getting an active participant half the time and a dead fish the other half, is that better? Is that better or worse than less sex overall? I think he is being unreasonable. All caps. Please settle this. Thank you for your consideration. This is, as Bianca, this is what they call a Chinese riddle.
Chinese finger job.
This is a toughie. I would like to point out, last night I was watching pornography.
You were.
And I watched
How is it after
a blow up
ayahuasca?
doll for a guy fuck a blow up doll for 30 seconds before I realized it was a blow up doll. Maybe not 30, maybe
Why
more
are you
in the
watching
20.
that?
I don't know. It just sometimes I Russian roulette it. I told you my
I'm
game
feeling
show
lucky.
idea, right?
Like what?
Yeah.
No.
You bet how quickly you can come to a video. It's all dudes. And it's like I can have an orgasm in 40 seconds to that old lady. I can do it.
Does it get grosser and grosser?
I can do it in 38 seconds. It's name that tune, but how quickly you can come to a video. Because I'm sometimes I just go surprise me, and
Pitch it to the Playboy channel or something.
yeah, I don't want to work on it.
Ew.
Is the problem? I don't want anything to do with it. I
It
just
ruins
like
your
the
ayahuasca.
idea.
You're
Yeah.
like, damn
Yeah.
it, guys.
But so the question is, how active is a woman generally during sex? If she's not on top, I would argue it's just about holding still. If she's not on top, it's mostly just about like holding a position or staying in a position. And I would argue that other than cowgirl, men do most of the work.
Okay, but this is saying, would you rather have less sex, but the sex is great, or would you have a lot of sex, but low quality?
I would
half
go with the quantity.
Quantity over quality?
Yes, because she's saying half the time it is quality, and
Half the time.
the other half the time
It's
just you're
just
not doing
come.
cowgirl.
oh, just come.
I mean, what woman isn't? You're mostly just lying there. No one's going like "Gah!" on the bottom.
mean,
like,
you
yaga,
could put a little-
do
you
it, do it.
No.
Hey. Those are the noises.
Neal, no, put your back into it. Girls put.
As a girl, though,
As a girl,
if
put your
you're
back
on
in
your
it.
back,
There's things you can
yeah,
do.
there's things you can do. Again, every girl thinks.
No, it's not. Every girl thinks I have sex. I know what. I don't just lie there.
I would argue that you do.
I would
Even
argue
if
I
you
don't.
don't,
I would argue. I don't.
again, blowjob, yes. Active,
No, I'm talking about lying on the back.
yes.
We're just talking about missionary.
Okay, yeah.
You
I
could,
don't know what you could possibly do.
Okay.
I'm not
I can
saying
do stuff.
Yeah, but I'm not. I bet you're not increasing the quality by more than 10%.
I disagree, but I don't know. I don't have a
Yeah.
penis.
And no guy's ever going to give you a straight answer. They'll whisper it to me, but they'll never tell you.
Okay.
And you need to know that.
Okay.
Ayahuasca, Neal, is dead.
Come back.
No.
Can you hear my voice?
This is Spirit Daddy. That's how I answer the phone.
Spirit Padre?
Spirit Padre. So I would say quantity over quality, and I bet the guy's a little bummed out that she's sad. You're in an impossible position because the woman's living her life. She's doing shit she has to do, school for the
Yeah.
kid, extra job, maybe help out at school, and then you can do doggy. I don't know what you're like. There are
Who are you
ways.
talking to?
Talking to myself as always. No, I'm talking to the guy. Like
The guy,
help your wife with the homeschooling,
Right.
And then she'll have more energy, and you could throw in a doggy, in
Yeah.
a doggy style.
Yeah, he needs to be a little more active too. He needs to get worn out as well. So
Yeah.
maybe one night he's like, I'm pooped.
But I'm not saying it so that he wears himself out. I'm just saying that she's less worn out.
No, but he has so much energy and she's kind of wearing thin.
Yes.
So if he took some of, like.
If he takes some of her work away and gives it to himself, he'll still have energy. She'll have more energy. And we're doing 4.5 nights a week of quality fucking instead
Neal
of.
loves a good doggy. Neal loves a good doggy.
I'm a missionary guy from way
Are
back.
you?
Yeah, missionary. I had a joke about it.
But why you keep saying throwing a doggy?
Because a woman has to be active in doggy. Although you're just holding a plank. You're holding a position.
Plank?
You're
No,
not holding
like
a plank.
Tabletop.
Yeah, you're holding a tabletop. And so that's great. But again, it's not like, you're not even a great fucker like you. a
Relax. I
quality
did not
fucker
argue about this.
who's doing
doggy.
extra stuff.
We're just participating. You can participate with your money
Yes,
back.
but it's a joke I've had.
Missionary
Beyonce
only?
had not only, but missionary. It's the building. It's the
What'd you
vanilla
say?
ice cream.
You said Honda Civic in your joke.
It's a Honda
right?
Civic,
Right,
yeah.
right.
Honda Civic, vanilla ice cream. Vanilla ice cream's fucking delicious. it's the building block for other ice cream, other flavors. You put syrup on there, you know what I mean? And I put a nice syrup, a little brown syrup. That I had an ex who Beyonce had a song where she said something about bomb pussy, and I was like, it's all bomb pussy. Like,
Yeah, I think
it's
I
not.
assume. Yeah.
It's blowjobs where you
There's
make your
a-
money. That's where you can really make the difference. Otherwise, it's and enthusiasm.
So is blowjob, like, do they vary a lot? I feel like blowjobs and boobs and dick size. I feel like those are the ones where it's like, oh, it really depends on the person.
Yeah, but I also think people are bad. Men can just be no rhythm having motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
buddy.
Buddy.
Yeah, they have. I think that men can just be. Men don't have the right. They don't even the orientate. They're just what it is they don't understand.
So in blowjobs, do they vary differently, or for the most part they're kind
They're
of
all
fine?
the good ones are all pretty much the same in that they're good, and the bad ones are all kind of. It's like there's 3 kinds of bad ones, and there's 2 or 3 kinds of good ones. It's like Ayahuasca. It all comes back to the grandmother. Grandmother.
Grammy.
So I would vote for have him do a day of homeschool.
Yeah.
And then it's a fucking. But don't tell your kid that. I'm only here for the fuck. I'm only here so I can fuck your mom. Now, what are we going over? Math.
Goodbye.
All right.
Give.
There's a Hi Neal and Bianca LSTNER if you want to read. It's short.
You've got mail.
Hi, Neal and Bianca, LSTNER. I hate getting gifts as much as Neal does. Christmas gifts, exchanging between adults has always seemed so strange to me. Anyway, I went from having a somewhat modest amount of disposable income to a much larger income very quickly. How should this change my gift giving to my family? Is it showing off to give expensive gifts? Is it being cheap or considerate to stay in a similar budget as the rest of the family? Family is all upper middle class. Not sure if that matters. HNF WBT. As a avid gift giver, this is what
Go.
you have to do. I'm a very good gift giver.
Okay.
And this is what you do. It's
I
like
have nothing to show for that. Go ahead.
I know.
No,
Well,
I don't. That I don't like gifts.
I asked you multiple times I can give you a gift. You say no.
No, because you're right.
Okay. But just, you know what giving a gift is a good gift? It's like a good callback. Have a conversation, ask something casually, get it for them.
Jimmy Carr has a whole system.
Oh, tell me. Number one feeler.
His number one feeler. He texted me today that I was going to save Chris Rock episode for a rainy day, but I'm already laughing. Him and his wife. I hope he doesn't mind me telling this. I can't remember the term for it, but it's like mystery box or something where in March, she'll look at a pair of glasses, some Fendi glasses, and go like, I like those. And he'll go like, mystery box? And she'll like, yeah. And then Christmas, there's a big box of mystery. There's a big mystery box with numerous gifts in it, including the sunglasses from March. Like there's a litany, and then you get them all, and then you put them in the box, and it's now you have to be filthy rich.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if this is for the masses.
That's what he does. But you could do it for. It doesn't have. They just shop at nice places. You could do it with other shit.
Yeah.
I mean, well, that's what you're advocating is someone mentions a thing, and then like I got you the Failing New York Times shirt because we mentioned it, and then
And
a
I
month
loved
later,
it, and it was so funny. I cracked up.
So I could have waited, but I wanted to see the look in your eye when you opened it. No, I'm
It was
kidding.
great.
I could have waited. That's Jimmy's thing. Is you just wait until, yeah.
And why don't you like gifts? I mean, you like getting things. Is it because it's
I
never
don't-
really what you want, or is it because
it's never what I want, and I feel I have to perform gratitude.
yeah?
And I
it's-
would rather just I don't know. I just feel awkward. Somebody gave me some lip gloss though, and I don't know who gave it to me. That is so great. And if I find the person, I think it was a woman. It might have been a makeup. I don't know who it was, but it's really great.
I get very upset when you say don't give me gifts, and then when people give you gifts, you rant and rave.
About how good they are?
Feel like I need to just I drive by gift give.
This was unsolicited, but a lot of good it did him. I don't remember who gave it to him. It's just a very good glossy lip gloss. Lip balm.
Why do you want
It's not
glossy?
It's a balm.
Okay.
Please. So anyway, I cut you off with Jimmy, but you're a callbacker.
No. Just a callback gift. Let them mention something.
Yeah, and then
easy.
go. Yeah, then you order it, and then do you hold on to it, or you just try to remember when they have a birthday coming up?
No, like my friend. My friend, who's a guy, is really into national parks. So I asked him hey, what's your favorite national park? And he told me, and then I got him a shirt. I don't know.
Yeah, that's cute.
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah.
Just even if they are a little thoughtful, it doesn't have to be super expensive. But then again, I don't know this guy's family. They're be
all
like
upper middle class. I'm of the mind of
as a rich person in the family,
rich person with no kids and no wife.
Wah.
But guys, spirit Padre. Who knows?
You're married to ayahuasca now.
I like giving my nieces and nephews
Expensive?
just like $2,000 for their birthday.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. Like I'll just go, hey man, it's your happy birthday. And then I'll go, what's your Venmo? And I'll
love it's Venmo.
Send them.
If one of your nieces or nephews said, hey man, I can't tell anybody in my family, I need 10 G's. Can you give it to me?
Yeah. If I was pretty sure it wasn't for drugs. And
if
even
it was
certain
just
kinds
like
of drugs, I'm right
ayahuasca.
there. My niece.
Spirit niece. Okay, so if it wasn't anything sorted, if it was just I just need it.
No, I don't like one of them. I don't remember, but the reason
You're a rich uncle. That's
no,
tight.
I know that's why I do it because I know it's a funny my fucking rich LA uncle gave me a bunch of money.
Yeah, it's funny too.
$2,000 to my niece is like when you're 23, 24. That is like ayahuasca in that that's a 5-day window of pretty consistent pleasure.
Oh yeah.
Not even just the fact that you got that money.
Yeah, it's just
it's
wow.
like I can't. You can make a huge difference, and it won't. To quote the late great Chris D'Elia, won't make a dent.
Say late.
Won't
make a dent.
Yeah, no dent. I mean, again,
no dents.
But on the other hand, there's a lot of our ayahuasca friend Chris gets upset that people ask for money all the time.
Really? He's not used to it?
He's used to it, but something about it upsets him, like where he'll call me about it. And I try to explain to him, like, dude, we just have a giant pile of French fries that everyone can see. He has so many French fries, I can't even see him behind the French fries sometimes.
He has more French fries than you?
Chris has a lot more French fries than me. Sweetie, even after divorce. But he has so many French fries, you can't even make them out. So if somebody... I just don't see. I think it's like, is that all I am to you? Kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm just a pile of French fries.
Yeah. But maybe you are.
I mean, I remember I never watched the Kardashians, but I was at my friend's house and it was on and I was like, fuck, this sucks. But actually the episode we were watching was an old one where I guess the bigger one, the taller one, Chloe was dating Lamar.
And he had to pay 17 people's.
That was actually fascinating. He's like, he was paying 30 people's phone bill. That's the only one I've seen. That's the only one when I've seen like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
That is one of them. I'm always like, that was a good episode. She was like, he was paying 30 people's phone bills, 10 people's rents.
Yeah.
All these people's like child support.
Yeah.
And he was like, and I didn't realize how many people actually are doing that. You think once you get rich, you're like,
that's the thing.
Get away from me,
no,
Uncle
I know.
Scrooge.
That's the thing about guys in the NBA, guys like Chris, they're the wealthiest person
that everybody knows.
that anyone is ever going to meet.
Yeah.
So,
and like meet and be cool with.
Like, yeah, no, that they're going to know.
Yeah.
So, like, the funny, like, I did the commercial, Damian Lillard was in the commercial, and he was wearing a mask a lot of the time. He didn't have to. He could have gotten away with not wearing a mask, but it wasn't that. And I talked to Blake. He's like, I wear my mask fucking all the time. And a part of it is I'm responsible for so many people. So many people are counting on me that I can't fuck it up with airborne poison. But yeah, so I don't have anyone counting on me. And so I don't really resent it.
But maybe it's a white-black thing.
It might be.
It's like all your people are kind of good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my accountant has said that. Like, I'm the only one who, like, I have the same accountant as like Chris and Eddie and all these guys, and like I sometimes I'll get money. I mean, not from my dad, but like he's like, you're the only one who has money. Like, my mom will send me a check for my birthday.
Oh my God.
Which is hilarious.
How much is it?
I don't want to say.
Okay.
But he's like, you're the only one who has incoming money.
Yeah.
It's not
from
a
like
lot
people.
amount, but it's just like a cute amount.
Yeah.
And I'm the only one. Like, no one's sending Eddie Murphy money for his birthday.
Fuck no.
Or Arsenio or Chris or...
The times I've been out in like group dinners with someone who's particularly wealthy, I really do have the urge to not order the most expensive thing and offer to, and everyone has just given up on that. They're like, getting the crab, lobster, this, thanks. I'm like, at one point it's like, you probably say, fuck it, I don't need to send, even if it's a gesture, maybe it feels a bit too like transparent. Like, I got this.
I don't,
like,
I mean,
you know,
like,
they're
when
fine.
I eat with Blake,
do you ever?
We split it.
Who has more French fries?
Blake is so fucking rich.
Really?
He makes $39 million a year from basketball.
Oh my God, it's not even endorsements, just in basketball.
No. And he made it last year,
Blake,
this year,
looking hot,
next year, year after that. And he's been making it. This is his second max deal.
Oh, wow.
So it's so much money. It's crazy.
And you split it?
Yes, because
why don't you just pick up the bill?
It's sometimes, but because everywhere he goes, he has to pay. So it's
at
like,
least it's just like, we
hey,
got.
remember splitting? It's like a fun,
it's like
kind
funny
of throwback thing of like, hey, remember?
That's really
remember splitting things?
That's so funny.
Yeah. So
splitting.
And then there's a whole other issue, which is resentment and discomfort. You end up representing somebody else's lack of success. I've heard rich celebrity, whatever, who's bought their mom a house and then their brothers and sisters didn't want to have Christmas at that house because that motherfucker thinks he's better than us. That's like the level of complication. It's not as simple as like, here we go, yay, simple fucking solution. Hey, there you go. It's human psychology, and that's
some sibling fucking.
But that's
toxicity.
Some real shit.
Yeah, for sure.
That is some real shit.
Not my family.
It's not just black. It's happened to me too.
Oh no, I don't think it's black. Only black. I feel like that's a money family relationship. Some unspoken. I mean, like, there's a lot of family toxicity going on. You know, depending on the family. I can understand a lot of people. I almost feel like that would happen more with white people.
Yeah, like
where it's okay, I'm also good.
What's that HBO show with all the angry
Succession?
Yeah,
some Succession shit.
Yeah, it's not. It's regular.
Just regular.
It's in my case, regular. Whatever I am.
What are you?
Irregular white.
Spirit Padre.
I'm a Spirit Padre and an irregular white. So you just have to you have to give it I don't think my niece and nephews resent me because I give it to them unsolicited.
You think someone somewhere resents you in terms of your success?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of people. I'd say at least hundreds, if not thousands.
Someone you know.
Yeah, a lot of people. It used to be I rode Dave's coattails, and then after George Floyd, it was somehow way more nefarious than that. And you just go like, okay. I mean, there's literally nothing I can do about it. But it's nobody that I'm close with.
Okay, so no
It's
one.
nobody that I'm like, but it's like people. There's people that like I see.
Yeah.
That I can. I started to see the hostility a little bit after. I was like, oh, okay. Not even bad. It's like
It's just.
It's like holding myself out as a decent white person can look a certain way to people, which I don't. Which I understand. It seems like I'm doing it for some reason other than just I don't know. That's what happened. It seems like, oh, you're doing it. I'm just like, no, I'm not.
Goodbye.
Wow. Let's do one more.
Yeah, let's
blinker signal. This is kind of interesting.
Okay.
The Lisa Lampanelli one.
I actually wanted to talk about that one.
Yeah.
You
All right,
got
so
mail.
What's up, LSTNER? I know your policy on intra-class warfare, but I gotta ask. I used to be a fan of Lisa Lampanelli. I excused her shtick on black culture because I assumed it came from a place of appreciation due to her self-reported dating habits. The joke was that she dated black guys.
Yeah.
So I buy tickets to her show when she comes to my town. And imagine my surprise when at the end of the show, she introduced her fiance, a motherfucker who looks like one of the Mario brothers.
So funny.
So John Leguizamo. That's what I think is. John Leguizamo was one
Yeah,
of the
House
Mario
of
brothers.
Buggin'.
Yeah. All this came up because I saw she's divorcing the dude. I guess his princess is in another castle. That's a Mario Brothers joke. But I digress. Knowing you, you probably won't speak on whether or not to what degree magnitude she's full of shit, although I would love that. So here's my question. Go ahead and cue the long ass letter music. Not long enough. Can I be upset about falling for her okie doke? Her reported love of us Negroes is the thing that allowed us to give her a pass for her admittedly tired routine. I wouldn't, whatever. That's his word, not mine. Or do I have to just charge this to the game as comedic license? This ties into what I was just saying.
Say it. Like, wait. Like what?
Meaning, so she would do jokes about dating black guys, right? Which, Bill Burr did a joke. Bill Burr had so many great jokes like 15 years ago about Low World Today. He had like the best apology joke, like literally 15 years ago. But he had a joke about a white woman saying that she was like, she wasn't racist because she was dating a black man and the joke was like, I'm riding black cock all the way to fucking
Right.
Whether somebody dates a black guy, I don't think that I date blank is a license to, doesn't say that you're not bigoted toward that group.
No, but Lisa's, in her act, it was a little shticky. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and I love
Yeah.
black, like, whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as a comic, is it hacky?
I won't even get into the taste part of it.
Well,
what I'm
he's
talking
saying-
about, he feels duped.
He feels duped because, but then again, she doesn't have to fuck black guys
I know,
to the
that's
end
the
of
thing.
time.
Right, but
If you keep,
if you're gonna fuck black guys,
if you're gonna make a
if
part
you're
of
gonna
your
make fun, you gotta fuck one of us. Look,
this guy's mad.
we're fine.
He's like,
Yeah,
what?
as long as
I
some brother's fucking you somewhere.
It's like, I signed up for her meeting.
Yeah,
Like, what
I was on her mailing list. So yeah, I don't
I mean, I don't get what it, like is assigning yourself to like, and you know, I don't love the like part of my personality is I fuck blank. Like I think there's humor in it kind of, but it's also, you know, it can be shticky. Just like
I would say it is shticky. I would think she would say it's shticky. It's like her delivery is like that. It's vaudeville. It's it's like
performance
Ethel
art.
Merman.
Yeah.
But do you have to?
So if someone gets hooked because you're the kind of like take no shit, loud East Coast older white woman that like fucks black guys, if that's kind of part of your comedic persona, and like you just whatever information they find out is it doesn't live up to their expectations. I mean, I guess I don't know what the problem is.
Looking to
just take the on-stage
comedians for any kind of moral rectitude or leadership is like just silly. It's just naive and silly and like, what do you?
They're
why?
Entertainers. If you're entertained by it,
I'm
then
not saying that.
Fine.
As this pertains to me, I would say, if I'm gonna make jokes about people know based on doing Chappelle Show that that's how a lot of people know me, right? So if I make a joke about something racial, they ascribe some level of like, A, he means no harm, and B, it's not based on some shit he saw on a message board.
Right.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, you know, I've never asked John Legend this, but it's like, do you ever just not feel in love? And like, but it's kind of his thing, is love songs.
Okay, but I will say, if I could, to try to understand this guy, there are certain entertainers that will kind of be
skirt the line,
or like they position themselves. I don't want to say anybody's name, even though if I did, you'd understand it more. But that do kind of position himself as like black adjacent, even though they're white. Or like allies or something. And I've never seen them with a black person. Or
I know a lot of people like that.
I know an overwhelming number of people like that, and sometimes it's a really big eye roll for me. It's just like, don't do that. Like, you don't need to tether yourself.
Total side note, I did one of the people I work with this week was Serena. All black girls with her. It was fucking awesome. Right. It was great. It was like fucking good. There was one, like, her agent's a white lady, but like
her agent's like, we'll let the agent be white.
No, right. I mean, please. She's not stupid. No, it's her agent for like 25 years. But all of her hair, makeup, wardrobe, all black girls, like cool 30-year-old. It was like, I was happy to see it.
You're like, hey, cohesion. But I don't know. I guess I also don't put that. Like Lisa Lampanelli, I don't know. It's not anything.
Yeah,
it's Lisa Lampanelli. She seems cool, honestly.
Lisa Lampanelli.
It just seems like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I know a lot of comedians. I put so little stake. I can hear what part of a comedian's bit is the fake part, and what part is probably the part that happened or where they got the idea for the joke.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it's like you guys are magicians. It's like, oh my God, that was so funny.
Yeah.
How did he think of that?
Is your roommate crazy like that?
Or like, I went to a, believe it or not, singing improv show where they made
Sign me up.
They made songs.
Put me on their mailing list.
They made songs
on
the spot.
There's a gift I could use.
They made songs on the spot. And when I did see it, I was like, I'm not into improv, but I was impressed. I'm like, how the fuck did they come up with a song on the spot? A improv song with a chorus, everyone took a turn. And
can I answer how they came up?
No, when you understand how they came up with it, it's not that, it's just
they practiced.
No, it's a formula.
Yeah, it's like they have
a formula, so it's like they can't ever really fuck it up.
Yeah,
but comedians not fulfilling their on-stage persona with their off-stage behavior is not something I would lose any sleep over,
agree.
sir.
Now, there's a question for the podcast.
Tell me.
If I'm going to make racial jokes, how much It's like, how many hours do I need before I can make a racial joke? It's like,
What do you mean?
how many jobs do I need to get people before? It's like, okay, you earn one racial joke. Do you know what I mean?
But I feel like you. Let's be real. I think you have a lot more leeway than
most white comedians.
most white comedians.
Yeah, but it's mostly still Chappelle Show.
It's Chappelle Show, and I'm surprised how many people don't realize you wrote Half Baked.
Right.
Because I'll be like, Half Baked? Half Baked? He wrote that? Like, wait till I blow your mind. He wrote on all that.
Are you sitting down?
Are you sitting?
So that's the thing where I'm like, I try to be cool. I'm not being cool to black people so I can make jokes about it later. Like, okay, help that one old black lady across the street. It's good for a one-liner. But there are times where I'm like, we know when someone hasn't done enough to earn a talking about
some
race
shit,
in a kind of greasy way.
What are you talking about?
There's
some people that I just, and they lose a lot of the time, those people who don't earn it. So here's where the payoff is, as an educated audience member, it doesn't work if you didn't earn it. A lot of the time, those jokes, those super racial jokes,
they're out of date.
They're out of date, or they don't land. Like, even if they're trying something, it's like, you didn't earn this, and this is awkward. And guess what? I'm in the audience. I'm serving the audience.
Right.
It's not even landing. And I'll tell you when we get off, but a lot of certain people's jokes where I know they aren't around black people. And I know they don't.
I mean, you don't even need to whisper.
Okay. It's just, they never land, and the people start asking for their checks. They're like, we'll go. Yeah, we'll just get the check. Like, as they're talking, and I'm like, I knew it.
Yeah.
You're fucking making my job.
Now I actually want to know who it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's but there are in since COVID and George Floyd, I think there are people who now resent me for it, who obviously resented me the entire time.
Oh yeah, but
now it's like a wink. Back then it was like, but
somehow
now and again they can say, motherfucker, you have no skin in the game. Literally, you risk nothing. You are not black. You are as white as fucking butter. So
what's your response
for you
to
to make a racial joke, my response is ideally, I'm not making a racial joke at black people's expense. I'm making a racial joke about white privilege. I'm making a joke about it truly is based on arguments with friends, with black friends, or discussions with black friends, or jokes with black friends.
But the way you joke around is like, you almost cut out the part that won't upset people, and that's more like implicit. That's like implied information.
Well, yeah, there's a way to do it.
No, but you do it to where it's the most, like, I guess, catchy and like attention grabby, but sometimes you forego like people understanding, like, no, I mean this, like the greater, I always come back to the way you put the who cares about the Confederate statues. Yeah. And I always hated that joke, but then when we talked about it, I was like, oh, well, why'd you just say that, Neal?
Because it just takes too long.
It takes too long, takes away from the joke, but you're good at making it like, no one is ever blank, blankety, blank. And that's
saying you have black friends or my black friends, which somebody will say is like a cop out or whatever.
It's just like Beanie Babies, like, fuck off.
No, exactly. But it is based on my experiences with it's know what I mean?
Reality for you, but
right. It's reality for me, and it's a weird thing where like Dave would do jokes where he would say me, or he would say a white guy's name. He would say me on the TV show. He would say a white guy's name. He had this joke about Chip, and it was assumed as a black guy, it's like, you have to have fucking white friends. Like, they're unavoidable. Right. Whereas I think in my case, people think I'm lying or fudging or something. Like, or
you really like black people.
Yeah. Or they're all famous, or they're all, and it's like, they're all funny. They're not all famous.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It is but I would like to think that if I if I didn't have black friends, I just would stop. I wouldn't make jokes about black people if I weren't friends. You know what I mean? Like, even my Latinos, I don't have that many Latino friends. Latinx, as we used to call them. But the joke about Latinx that I used to do about like they're going to rob a bank.
Right. That was a good joke.
Right. But it was like they fucking worked their ass off. Like,
Wait, no one had a problem with that?
No, nobody did. But I wouldn't make a disparaging joke in my act. I had a joke about how I thought of it and I tried to give it to Jesus Trejo, that every cholo, no matter where they're from in the world, has the same accent.
Stupid.
I was like, where are you from, bro? I'm from Paris, man. And I don't know if he ever did it. I wouldn't do that.
Right,
it's like,
no,
what the fuck am I talking about?
Right. But wait, so you were saying though you wouldn't make a disparaging joke about Latinx, but you would about black people?
No, I wouldn't make it. I haven't made them about. I use Latinx as an example of people that I have probably 10 times more black friends than Latino friends, and probably Asian. Probably 10 times more black than Asian too. But I wouldn't disparage Latino people.
But you're saying like the ratio between the amount of friends I have and the amount of disparaging jokes, like, so you have a lot more black friends. So do you take more liberties with your joke?
What I'm saying is, even if I didn't have friends, I would either not talk about them or I wouldn't certainly do like a sort of shitty joke about them. Like, really,
so
like,
do you think
feels a little shitty?
Do you think you've done that about black people?
No, I don't know. I haven't done a joke about black people that was like negative about like black people writ large or specifically about any. But I do jokes about
things
are friendship
involving
jokes that are like, motherfucker. Or that joke about like my dad disappeared. My dad abandoned us when we were 5 years old.
Oh, I see. And then
the joke about like my mother used to disappear and do a good book.
Yeah.
It's like making fun of whiteness and class and fucking whatever. But you could say that I shouldn't ever mention that. I shouldn't mention a black father disappearing because statistically it's not borne out by facts. Statistically it's borne out by it. Then you're into stereotypes of like white mothers being pillheads.
Right. But do you think people resent you for your what you talk about on stage, like in the context of like your relationship with black people?
I think I'm being cute about the shit. It's like I had somebody say, black comics say that they thought Louis C.K. went out of his way to use the N-word in his act. And it was like, no. He did, like, it's just a word. It's like it's a tool that he was using. It's like a thing that you're not supposed to talk about that he wanted to talk about. But I don't think it was like, I'm going to get black people and and here's how. But I can't prove it.
Yeah.
You know? So, and I don't think, I mean, he used the N-word, as did I. So, that's not good.
No, I would say maybe.
Yeah, like
maybe get more Latinx friends.
No. But
we've had enough, Neal.
No, but I'm saying that but I wouldn't anymore. And you know what's interesting?
Was that ayahuasca?
Swear to God.
Well, was it really like up until ayahuasca?
I was using it on the way to I'm kidding.
I was in the car with you.
No, I'm kidding.
The hell?
No, I'm kidding. I wasn't using it. It was just like whatever. So, but I don't. But public, I would never. I haven't used it publicly in fucking 8 years or something. In a joke.
It's like publicly, I have not used it.
It's hamburger helper for comedy.
Yeah,
Throw
it's
a little
just
in
filler.
there. It's like it's rhythmically a great word, et cetera, et cetera.
All right.
But never again.
Never
Thank
again.
you, Spirit Padre.
Spirit Padre.
Bianca, I don't know how to say we don't have to take this shit in the native ayahuasca tongue, but it's true.
I might know.
It's true, and that's something that we'll have to deal with at a later date.
Yeah. We might, you know what? Post ayahuasca, we might have to take this shit.
Good luck, America. Good luck.
We're gonna need
Big
it.
week. Big quiz tomorrow. Best of luck on the quiz.
It's 90% of your grade.
Yes. God bless.